by Councilman Jones, second by Councilman Grove. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 8-0-1. B, proclamations number 7, Parish President Cantrell to present a proclamation to the drawing contest winners for the 2018 underage drinking calendar contest that was held in the Lafourche Parish School. One of my favorite meetings. Mr. Cantrell?
State of Louisiana, Parish of Lafourche, proclamation. Whereas the Parish of Lafourche is committed to recognizing all individuals for their life achievements, especially the talents of our youth, and whereas the Prevention Partnership with South Central Louisiana Human Services Authority creates awareness and implements prevention policies that help high-risk youth and their families, and whereas a drawing contest to address underage drinking was held across the Lafourche Parish schools, and the winners were chosen and placed in a 2018 calendar with 13 winners and 8 honorable mentions, and whereas I, James P. Cantrell, President of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, do hereby honor the grand prize winner, Madeline Milstead. The following first place winners: Ellie Simpson, Ariana Tassett, Catherine DePoo, Stephanie Norton, Diane Pina, Chloe Falls, following second place winners: Roland Angelette, Rylan Angelette, Phoebe Petrie, Carissa Bowles, Jalen Gilliard, Anna Gidry, the following honorable mention winners: Jude Onkow, Brett Johnson, Berkeley Pierce, Xander Luke, Isabella Hanley, Jenna Garner, Eliana Walker, Elise Petrie, of Louisiana, on this 24th day of April, 2018. James B. Cantrell, President.
Congratulations to all the winners and all the participants. I hope you guys take that message as you go forward in life. We really appreciate all the hard work and lots of talent out there, so thank you all very much. Number 8, Parish President Cantrell to present a proclamation May 6th through 12th, 2018 as Women's Mental Health Week. Mr. Cantrell.
State of Louisiana Parish of Lafourche Proclamation. Whereas the Parish of Lafourche is committed to supporting efforts to raise awareness surrounding health risks for all citizens through prevention and health education, and whereas every 7 minutes and 30 seconds, one woman in the U.S. loses a battle with lung cancer, and every 2.5 minutes, someone is told that he or she has lung cancer, and whereas lung cancer is the #1 killer of women and men in the U.S., and whereas advocacy and increased awareness will result in screening and early detection for people with lung cancer that will ultimately save lives, and whereas public support for research funding will result in better treatment and early detection methods, and whereas Lung Force is a national initiative led by the American Lung Association working towards new treatment options and better methods of early detection, and now therefore, I, James B. Cantrell, President of Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, be hereby designated May 6th through 12th, 2018 as Women's Lung Health Week throughout the parish, and encourage all residents of Lafourche to learn more about lung cancer risk factors and screening options. And witness thereof, I do hereinto set my signature and have caused to be affixed as official seal of the Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, on 24th day of April 2018. James Cantrell. Ms. Joanne Lowe with the American Lung Association is not able to attend the meeting.
Thank you, Mr. Cantrell. Number 9, Parish President Cantrell to present a proclamation proclaiming the month of May as National Water Safety Month.
State of Louisiana Parish of Lafourche Proclamation. Whereas citizens of Lafourche Parish recognize and appreciate how aquatic-related activities enhance physical and mental health, Lafourche Parish, also known as Sportsman Paradise, has a wealth of natural aquatic resources that provide a variety of recreation along the bayous to the Gulf of Mexico, and whereas the Lady of the Gulf Seamen's Memorial, the only dedicated Seamen's Memorial for the state of Louisiana, represents all of those that have lost their lives at sea or in water-related accidents. She stands 16 feet upon her pedestal, ascending from the water bathed in air bubbles and sunlight. And whereas I, James B. Cantrell, President of Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, hereby proclaim the month of May 2018 as National Water Safety Month to honor and remember those lost at sea or in water-related accidents, and to support ongoing efforts and commitments to educate the public of vital importance of water safety and prevention awareness. In witness thereof, I appeal to set my signature and have caused to be fixed to official seal of Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, on the 24th day of April 2018.
Anyone to receive? Thank you. C, presentation and/or updates. Number 10, Ms. Annette Montana, clerk of court, to discuss polling locations. Ms. Montana, please state your name and address for the record, please.
Annette Montana, Lafourche Parish, Clerk of Court, 303 West 3rd Street, Tillville, Louisiana. I'm just here to make a presentation to all of you to make sure that we are all on the same page, the clerk, administration, and the council. I sent all of you an email. I hope all of you some of you got it, some of you didn't. Email, just as yesterday, a little bit, but I'll summarize it briefly. We have 2 polling locations that have notified the clerk. They should have notified which we did. Serve us any longer as election. So 5. That is in Councilman Jones' district. I have spoken with Councilman Jones. I also have spoken with the administration regarding this. Everybody should be aware at this point that we notified that First Baptist Church service polling location. Ironically, it's not even in 2-5. It's in a whole different ward. So at the end of the day, hopefully we can give the voters a place within their ward and within their precinct. In an effort to on trying to secure new locations, really to assist the council and administration with this. The latest on this Ward 2 Precinct 5 is that I reached out to St. John the Episcopal Church. They are located on Jackson Street. They are right within, I guess they're on the left side of Jackson Street on the map, which means they are right within the Ward 2 Precinct 5, which would actually work out. I really didn't expect much when I called for them, but ironically, they seemed very open about serving us in that manner. They are meeting Thursday evening, the vestry, I guess that's what they call it. And they're supposed to call me back on Friday. So I'm really hoping that Friday we get some favorable news, because other than that location in 2-5, I don't see, and I've driven around the Ward precinct, I don't see really other location within that Ward precinct for us to put in the whole location for the voters. As any other recommendation spoken, there's really nothing in 2-5. We did explore another option on Caroline Street. However, there is no parking, and handicap accessibility will be an issue at that particular location. So we'll take one from that. So, status of Ward 2 Precinct 5. These polling locations have to be in place for 2019. We are secure in the locations that we have through the fall elections. So I guess we have a little time swiftly, because if in this particular instance St. John votes favorably to have us, then we would probably need a resolution by the council to change the polling location. There's going to have to be a contract between the parish and the polling location, because they are a private facility, they're not a public facility. So I guess at this juncture, probably what I just need to let you know what comes of that. Again, let's all hope for a favorable response from St. John. If not, we really have to get together and work together to find the voters of Ward 2 Precinct 5 a sufficient polling place to go ahead and vote. So that's where we are with Ward 2 Precinct number 5. The next precinct is Ward 6, Precinct 1A and 1B. So on your map, you have 6-1. Currently, the current polling location is located at the old, per se, Chack Bay Fire Station. As many of you know, the Chack Bay Fire Department just has a brand new facility out near Sugar Ridge, brand new fire station. Because they were moving to a new location and the old location had some deficiencies with the building, they notified us that they did not wish for that facility to serve as a full location, which they have the right to do. These are private places that we have had agreements with in the past, or the council has had agreements in the past. They are not interested in anyone using their new facility for any, it's not. public building shall give us those options to use. Having plays on will do that. We have to get with Matthews. Ms. Matthews advised that she is not keen on us using the new school. As you know, there's a new school going up right there. Again, not far from the fire station, brand new school. They're not really very keen on using the new school. But she's open to discussing some other options with us. So that's where we are with the school board. Fortunately today, Tara Day handles the elections in my office. Tara was able to secure a date with Ms. Matthews for us to meet with her. It's May 10th. May 10th, I think it's at 9 o'clock, is it right?
Yes.
At 9 o'clock. We accepted the date. I'm going to be at a conference that day. Tara, the day with my office, Mr. Michael Boudreaux, who is here, we advised him, he and I have been communicating very much on these poll locations. He'll be available, and I'm happy to report to you that everybody got back with me today, and I want to just tell administration, I appreciate that, as well as Councilman Scoto. I appreciate both of you getting back with me today, and everybody can meet with Ms. Matthews on May 10th, which I think is going to be beneficial for us to hopefully resolve the polling location system. Again, I'm not going to be there, but I will have my representative and also have Mr. Boudreaux there to assist with that meeting. If any need any information from me ahead of time about the use of public buildings, for elections, I can certainly provide that to you. But I felt like I wanted to come here, bring this up to the council, present it to the council, because it is the function of the governing authority. So we're kind of driving the boat to assist all of you, because it's a lot to coordinate, getting the locations, getting the meetings, especially with everybody has a busy schedule, and I know that, so I appreciate you all working with us. If we have no success with 2-5 and 6-1, I'm gonna need the administration and the council to become more actively involved in the process, because we've got to get this in place. Again, this is going to be for 2019. I'm sure we realize how quickly time flies and gets away from us. So the sooner that we can secure these locations, get the contracts in place, get all the resolutions passed, and we also have to give public notification of the change, and we have to send those things out to the voters. So I just want to make sure everybody's on the same page, everybody's aware what's going on, and if y'all have any questions for me, I'm here.
Yeah, the current Chack Day school, nothing that can be used, I know it would be in the fall, hopefully the new school is open at that time, right? It's supposed to be.
They're telling me that the new school is going to be open at the time.
What's going to happen with the old school?
They cannot really tell me that. I didn't get a clear answer from Mr. Plaisance on what they were doing with the old school. I know there was maybe some discussion between the council and school board on that facility. I'm not sure what was the status of that. But certainly that is a facility that's available. The school would have to appoint someone, a janitor, to let us in that building, be there available when the machines are dropped off on a Friday, be available to lock up the facility. Generally, the janitors of the school take on that role in the schools that we serve in. We serve in many schools throughout the parish. I'm not sure what maybe we can hang up with the new school, again, maybe because it's brand new, and I'm not sure, and so hopefully we can discuss that with Ms. Matthews on May 10th. I'm not opposed to using the old school, but they have to have someone appointed to be there on Friday when the machines are delivered, because the machines are on the truck and they're on the schedule. So we've got to have those people there, available at 6:30, let those commissioners in, 5:30, let those commissioners in, because the voters can't wait. So that's where we are with that. So.
Okay. Councilman Pearlou?
Hey, Nat, thanks for being here. What's the possibility of, if something doesn't work itself out with a new polling place, to co-locate with an existing precinct?
If we do Life Center has, if you could put the other map up for me, we have, let's see. So we have St. Joseph Life Center. I don't know if y'all familiar with St. Joseph Church, and they have a life center attached to it. The problem is that they have two rooms in that life center. They have a front room which is small, and then they have a large area where they have gumbos and they have other functions. So in an effort for us never to, I guess, interfere with what the church has going on, they put us in a smaller room in the front. So there's no way for us to fit, if we had to fit 2 machines, 4 commissioners, it just wouldn't work. Yet, but we have some locations where we have 4 polling precincts, and it's just not working. And it's been set up that way for a very long time. We're looking at trying to move some that we already have existing, because to have 4, like for example, we have 4 at the Louisiana Technical School, and they allow us the use of the front of that facility. The problem is we have 1 room, and we have 2 precincts in there. We have 1 down the hall, and then 1 right on the side of the hall. We have restrooms right by the voting machine. It's just not really conducive. It's really not a great polling location, I'm going to be honest with you. So we are going to be coming back to this council at some point we've been working on, Mr. Boudreaux and I have been working on speaking to St. John Fire Department about moving 2 of those locations out to St. John, which is where they should be. But right now, our priority I'm hopeful again. I have another idea. Maybe if we don't work out Ward 2, precinct number 5, we're looking at maybe trying to find some way to move another ward precinct and move 2-5 where that precinct is currently located. But I don't want to go through all that if it works out, on Thursday. So let's just keep our fingers crossed. Hopefully they're very interested in serving us, and hopefully they'll come back, with good news. And now we can do it all.
Councilman Jones.
Yes, Annette, thank you for being here to explain to the council. But please let me know Friday if St. John get back with you either way, yes or no. If it's yes, it's definitely a plus. If it's no, maybe I can reach out to the Moses Church, which is in 2-5, and talk with the Pastor Jones over there, and maybe he can help us out, at least for a year or 2. So,
Right.
all right?
That'll be good. And what I'll do is, and I'm not sure why all of you didn't get my email. I know Kelly got it. I'm not sure what the deal is. I'll send it to each of your.
I got it.
You got it?
Yes.
So what I'll do Friday is I'll email all of you again. I'll let you know the status of. I got it. I'll email you the status of 2-5. And again, everybody's committed to meet May 10th with the superintendent. It was hard to get a time and a date from her because she apparently has a lot of conflicts within the school and things like that. Y'all have committed, administration and Councilman Sposko, y'all have committed to meeting on that date. Please do your best to try to, pin something down with her on that day and get. Because that's a lot of box.
Yeah. Anyone else? Thank you, Annette. Thank you for coming. Number 11, Mr. Timothy Allen, CEO, and Mr. Leonard St. Pierre Ochsner and Ochsner St. Anne Lafourche Hospital Service District Number 2 Board to present an annual report. Hi.
Good evening. My name's Tim Allen. I live at 239 Rue Chateau in Thibodeau. It's not on.
It goes towards you.
It was working.
Try giving it a test. I hear something.
Hang on a second. I'm try to change the battery out for you. We want to hear all of this.
Hope it's a double, not have a triple as well. Oh, no, it's either double or triple.
I hope it was working.
Double.
Mike.
Thanks, sir. I will start over. I'm Timothy Allen. I live at 239 Rue Chateau in Thibodaux, Louisiana. It is my honor to be here tonight on behalf of the Lafourche Parish Hospital Service District Number 2 to present the annual report on Ochsner St. Anne. I know you have a very full agenda, and I will be brief. I know you also have, or believe you also have, my written report that was previously submitted there in front of you, so I'm not going to go through all of those details. I wanted to cover just a few things, starting first with just a few statistical updates in terms of how we've grown. We have over 30,000 patients that trust us annually for their care. Our clinic visits this year were relatively flat. Our emergency department visits increased by 11% year over year. Our births, bringing new lives into the region, grew by over 4%. Our outpatient tests and procedures grew by over 9%. In the area of the emergency department, we actually had a slip in one of our indicators. Our average time from when you walk in the door to when you're seen by a provider this year is 7 minutes. You may recall from my previous reports, it was lower than that in prior years. I attribute that as some opportunities for us. One, we've grown in our ER. And in addition, we've done some things to remedy that, adding another practitioner during certain shifts, and I'm confident that we're going to be able to get that number back down closer to where it's been historically. Additionally, in our emergency department, our patients that left without being seen, which is the national indicator of how well you're serving your patients in your emergency department, is for 2017 at 0.5% or less than 1% versus the national targets of 3%. Moving on to, we have sustained our patient perception in terms of how patients perceive the care that's been delivered, still ranking very well nationally. Additionally, we, through the generosity of the community, are able to tap into the millage that, again, the community has been so generous in affording us, and that allows us to provide a number of wellness and community outreach and education services to the community. This past year, we touched the lives of over 5,600 Lafourche residents, providing no-cost services to them, including over 3,000 health screenings. We were able to identify just over almost 600 elevated or abnormal blood pressures or blood glucose levels, so we were able to help patients either with diagnosis or treatment. We also gave out 645 flu shots. Did a number of educational events, and one of the things that we've done, and we've grown this every year, is aligned with different community organizations and different businesses, because we believe that helping our community stay as close to home as possible, where they attend programs or in the case of the workplace. And we added a number of businesses this year, including South Coast Gas Company, 2 of the volunteer fire departments, that being Gaines and Lockport, as well as a couple of other businesses. So additionally, one of the things I want to highlight is the generosity of our employees. And one of the things they do is volunteer their own time outside of their normal work time. And that equated to over 1,000 hours of volunteer time by 120 different employees. In terms of the economic impact, one of the things that we highlight each year is specifically the economic impact of the salaries that we pay. to our employees and our providers. That generates over $110 million in economic benefit when you look at the multipliers of the salaries that we pay. We invested another $681,000 in capital improvements to our facilities and equipment, totaling over $13 million since affiliating with Ochsner in 2006. We are the only hospital service district in the parish that pays taxes, and we paid $482,000 in parish and state taxes. We also paid over $3 million to vendors in Lafourche Parish for various services and products. So we want to make sure that we can do that whenever possible. An additional point in terms of economics, one of the things that we've been able to do is continue to serve the underserved of the region. And we increased, in terms of the total expenditures or charges for those patients and the services they received, we increased that 6% year over year. Lastly, I'll brag a little bit in terms of awards and acknowledgement. And one of the things that we're really proud of this past year is that we were acknowledged by or awarded the 5-star rating by the Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services for an overall quality rating of 5 stars. We're only one of 5 hospitals in the entire state of Louisiana that receive that. It is an evaluation of 50 different quality, satisfaction, and access indicators. And we're very proud to have seen our hard work and our accomplishments be recognized by Center for Medicare and Medicaid Services, excuse me. And lastly, we were able to earn our national recognition as a baby-friendly designated birthing facility. We're one of only 7 in the state at the time, and 15% of hospitals nationally that get that. So we're very pleased with those 2 items. I would be honored to take any questions that you might have about anything I covered or is in my written report.
Anyone? Councilman Melvin?
I just wanted to thank you for coming and for the services y'all do provide, because it's very vital to this area in Central Lafourche.
Thank you very much.
I agree. I hear such good things about St. Anne, so keep it up. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much.
Okay, I hope you're willing to correct my pronunciation. Number 12, Miss Madeline Brumley of the Laborde Earls Law Firm to present a presentation about the opioid crisis, the impact on Lafourche Parish and in Louisiana, and about the litigation that many other parishes are choosing to undertake as a result of the crisis. Please say your name and address for the record.
Sure. Hi, my name is Madeline Brumley, 103 Energy Parkway, Lafayette, Louisiana, 70508. I'm an attorney at the Laborde Earls Law Firm, and I'm here today to talk to you guys about the opioid crisis and the litigation that we're undertaking. So, Mr. President, Madam Chairwoman, and members of the council, it's an honor to be here. I have a PowerPoint presentation that is both behind you and in your folders. And as I go through this and talk to you guys, please feel free to interrupt me at any time. This can be as interactive as you want. So if you have any questions for me, please feel free to stop me. So I work for the Laborde Earls Law Firm. We have offices in Lafayette, Alexandria, and Marksville. Our team was actually the first firm in Louisiana to file suit against the manufacturers and distributors of opioid pain medication here in Louisiana. It's a real point of pride for us that we were able to beat the governor's office to it by about a week and a half. And we have partnered with a firm out of New York called Simmons Hanley Conroy. Simmons Hanley Conroy was the first firm to win a successful settlement against Purdue Pharmaceuticals, one of the worst actors in creating and perpetuating the opioid crisis. That case settled in 2006. And the head attorney on that case, who we're partnering with, Paul Hanley, is now head co-lead counsel of the multi-district litigation, which is the consolidation of all of the different local lawsuits in front of a single federal judge in Cleveland, Ohio. So when I talk to you about, the bad acts that the manufacturers did, it's not a conspiracy theory. This is from reviewing the internal documents that Paul Hanley of Simmons Hanley Conroy was able to obtain when he sued Purdue Pharmaceutical the first time. So that was back in 2006 when he had his first settlement, right? And now we're some 12 years later. I would like to say that the first lawsuit was successful in deterring the bad behavior that we saw, but unfortunately, I think as you all know, that isn't the case. The opioid epidemic, the opioid crisis has been characterized as an epidemic by the CDC and the National Institute of Health, and the NIH has also acknowledged that the manufacturer's aggressive marketing was one of the root causes of the opioid crisis. There are now more people dying in the U.S. today due to opioid and heroin overdoses than there are people that die from car accidents. There are more people that die every year than there did in the entirety of the Vietnam War. And there are more people dying due to the opioid crisis than there were people dying from HIV at the height of the AIDS epidemic. So to say this is a national emergency truly doesn't do it justice. And the other thing about the opioid epidemic is it really does cut across race, gender, class, location. This is an epidemic experienced across the country by men, women, black, white, young, old, rich, poor, and almost everybody either knows somebody personally who suffers from a substance use disorder or knows somebody who has suffered during the opioid crisis. This has a massive impact, not only nationally. I'm going to talk about nationally first, but I'll get to the state and locally in a minute. These numbers right here, this $78.4 billion of economic impact annually, has recently been revised upwards. So more than $80 billion a year is either wasted or expended dealing with the fallout from this crisis. So how did we get here? In the mid to late 1990s, Purdue Pharma and other pharmaceutical manufacturers realized, okay, we have this drug. And the common perception out there is that it is appropriate for a limited number of circumstances. Right after surgery, if you have pain related to a cancer diagnosis, and if you're at require end-of-life palliative care. That's it. That is a very limited market. But they thought that if they could convince both the medical community, the prescribers, and the public that these medications were appropriate for chronic, long-term pain, then the market of people willing to buy their drugs would expand dramatically, and again, so would their profit. So they worked to change the public perception by polluting the streams of otherwise objective and independent information about these drugs, and convinced the medical boards to start treating pain as the fifth vital sign. I don't know if any of you guys have been to the doctor or the ER recently, but a lot of times, you know, with your blood pressure and stuff like that, they'll ask you if you're having any pain. That was actually a gimmick by the pharmaceutical manufacturers to get doctors to take pain seriously and to treat pain with the medications that they, of course, sell. Why is this not working? Okay. Those are some of our defendants. Those are the manufacturers that we have sued in other cases. And the ways that they did this was through front group messaging, physician messaging, and unbranded ad messaging. So what is front group messaging? So there are organizations out there with innocuous names like the American Pain Society or the American Pain Foundation that purport to be patient advocacy groups. And doctors, before this all came out, believed that they were independent, pro-patient lobbying groups, and they could trust the information that came to them from those sources. However, organizations like the American Pain Foundation are funded almost exclusively by the pharmaceutical manufacturers of opioids. So whereas a doctor, for example, might not be comfortable putting a pamphlet front that has, you know, Purdue Pharma OxyContin is great for X, Y, and Z reasons in their front lobby, they were perfectly confident in putting out information from a patient advocacy organization saying opioids are great for a whole host of issues. They also, Purdue Pharma and the pharmaceutical manufacturers of opioids were also first started the practice of medical detailing, where they would send their sales representatives to individual doctors' offices to, quote, re-educate them about the benefits and efficacy of opioid pain medication. They paid doctors handsomely to travel to these sort of cush resort-like gigs where they were attended speeches and lectures about how great opioids were. And then they recruited physicians who were responsive to these kind of detailers and messages to then become spokespeople for them and sponsor what are CMEs, or continuing medical education credits, which all doctors have to get every year as a condition of keeping their licensing. So keep in mind at this point, these are two channels of seemingly objective information that have been polluted by the manufacturers, the patient advocacy groups, and other, quote, professionals in the field. They also targeted doctors without experience in pain management. So everything from OBGYNs to dentists to nurses, physician's assistant, none of these people, none of these practitioners would have as their bread and butter post-surgical patients, cancer patients, or people in palliative care situations. Just like the tobacco companies in the 1980s, they knew that opioids were addictive, but they put out a whole host of information to suggest otherwise. They even created a concept called pseudo-addiction. So they would tell doctors, hey, look, if you have a patient that's presenting what we would all recognize as classic signs of addiction, they are hyperinflating their pain symptoms, they are asking for higher and higher doses of pain medication, they are running through their prescriptions too quickly, they're supplementing the pills that you're prescribing them with other things that they get from friends or otherwise off the street. That patient isn't actually highly unlikely that they're suffering from true addiction and in need of addiction care and being supervised and being weaned off their dose. What they really have is pseudo-addiction. That's undertreated pain. So what you need to do to get a handle on this patient, what compassionate care requires, is that you actually prescribe them more OxyContin at higher doses. We have also, on behalf of our clients, sued the pharmaceuticals distributors of these pain medications. The reason that we have done that is different. Though they weren't involved in the fraudulent marketing, pharmaceutical distributors of controlled substances have a requirement under the Controlled Substances Act to report to the DEA any suspiciously large or frequent orders of these controlled substances. The distributors didn't do that. They sent over 600 million pills to a county in West Virginia that has 90,000 residents. For the years 2012 to 2016, there were more prescriptions written in the state of Louisiana than there were residents, which means that there were enough opioid pills prescribed in a single year to medicate every man, woman, and child in this state for a month and a half. To me, because opioids have such a limited, they're approved for only a specific number of conditions, if you've got enough opioids being prescribed in a state in a year to medicate everyone for more than a month, that should be inherently suspicious, but the distributors did not report those orders to the FDA. So here's a graph or a slide of what I'm talking about. Louisiana, as you can see, is one of the 8 or so states with the highest number of prescriptions in a given year. And Lafourche Parish, too, specifically in, 2012, I believe, had one of the highest prescription rates within the state. So the way the CDC breaks it out, here's the national average, here's above average, here's above that, and then here's the highest number. Lafourche is in that, Parish was in that category. What this has ended up doing to local communities in the state is that as legislatures got wise to the opioid epidemic and began cracking down on the amount of drugs doctors could prescribe at a given time, people started turning from prescription drugs from the doctor to cheaper and more readily available heroin on the streets. So heroin has become, if you'll talk to law enforcement officers across the state, heroin has become more and more and more of a problem. And specifically, you know, today's heroin isn't the heroin of the 60s and 70s. Today's heroin is laced with fentanyl, largely imported from Mexico and China. So people are dosing themselves expecting heroin, but what they're actually injecting is something that can be anywhere from 80 to 800 times more powerful, which is why you have so many people overdosing and dying as a result of the opioid epidemic. Why is this not working? Oh, there we go. Okay. So we have filed suit on behalf of almost, at this point, a third of the sheriffs in the state for their costs associated with the law enforcement response to this epidemic. We also represent, I think, about 10 parishes whose lawsuits we have not yet filed in this litigation. And so I just wanted to go through really quickly some impacts that are absorbed by you on the parish level. So if you provide healthcare plans to your employees, that healthcare is paying for opioids for inappropriate uses as a result of the fraudulent marketing of the pharmaceutical manufacturers, the cost of opioid therapy, addiction treatment. If you provide workman's comp to your employees or fund entities that provide workman's comp to their employees, the studies have been done to show that people that are prescribed opioids as a result of the accident stay out of work longer and are less likely to return to work, driving up costs. You have your public health costs. You have your emergency response costs, the impact on families, your criminal justice and victimization costs. So this would be, you know, the money that you are sending to your sheriff's office in order to house pretrial detainees who either may be there for selling or distributing opioids or who may be there for committing petty crimes to feed an addiction. And then you have your personnel costs. So lost productivity, disability claims. I know that you guys operate a drug court. Some of those costs may be increasing as a result of this opioid epidemic. And then these are our theories of liability that we are bringing forth in these suits. And that's really the end of my presentation, but I just wanted to come here and really educate you guys about what we know about the cause of the crisis and some of the impacts that you may be feeling in your budgets. And if anybody has any questions for me, I'm happy to answer them now.
Councilman LaFont?
Yeah, appreciate you giving the presentation. I've had 10 really good friends die of overdose. I actually had a little brother who died from complications due to doing drugs recently, and prescription medication. Mm-hmm. However, I'm not a keen person on suing people. Mm-hmm. Not never for lawsuits for those type of deals, because who's next? The doctors, the guy that owns the local pharmacy. So I just have a problem with that. I think one way to help with drug overdose, and look, I've been around it, I've seen it. I remember one time, I think back, and we had the district attorneys here, he would know better, but in the 80s and early 90s, heroin had a mandatory life in prison. Mm-hmm. And they went back and they took that away and made it a Scheduled I drug. So now it could be a slap on the hand or a little bit of time. I think what needs to happen is they need to go back to put mandatory life in prison. I don't care if you got caught with a speck of heroin, guess what? It was mandatory life in prison. So guess what that did? That kept the drug dealers from selling heroin. Because you know what? I'm not gonna mess with something that's gonna put me in life in prison. I'm gonna sell something that I'm gonna get a little time, I can make a lot of profit and not have to worry about it and spend it. Because believe it or not, drug dealers are business people. And they look at a way to make lots of money for less risk. And so I think what needs to happen first is not sue these people. I think we need to go back to making heroin a mandatory life in prison. And maybe in some of the other drugs, make it a little harsher so when the district attorney does prosecute them, that the judge can hammer these people. And so, you know, and look, I'm telling you, I lost a lot of really good friends to drug overdose, so I'm up on times on it. But to go ahead and sue the manufacturer, you know, I'm addicted to Coca-Cola. And I can tell you, 4 days before Lent, I was giving it up. And I had the worst headaches I've ever had in my life. And, you know, so who's next? You're going to sue Coca-Cola because they made me addicted to it and I had headaches? I just don't believe in all that stuff. But I think, we do need to make people aware of the abuse of OxyContin. I owned a salon, and I had a client, I'm going to tell you, I had a client come in my chair 4 years ago. And she had a prescription for 240 OxyContins, 80 milligrams. And she couldn't get anybody to fill it. She was having a hard time. I was doing her hair, and she was having a hard time getting it prescribed. And I asked her, I said, why are you having such a hard time getting your prescription? And I looked at the prescription, and I almost had a heart attack because the doctor prescribed the 240. So, you know, I just think that was just a bad doctor making a bad decision. I wouldn't hold it against the drug manufacturer's fault, you know, because there's a lot of things in this world. You know, they can sniff paint. Are we going to go after the paint people? There's just a lot of things. I think community awareness and going back to strict laws is what's going to stop it, and not a lawsuit. So, but thank you for your time. I appreciate it.
Can I respond to?
Yeah, go ahead.
Do you mind? Okay. So first of all, I'm really sorry for your loss. I too have lost people close to me as a result of opioid and heroin addiction and overdose. And I too am a caffeine addict. I think the difference to me is, one, I know when I drink coffee that coffee is habituating, and that there will come a day and time where if I don't have my morning coffee, I'll have a headache. I know that going in. But I wasn't prescribed coffee by a physician. And I wasn't prescribed coffee by a physician who was lied to by organizations who spent millions and millions of dollars to get the physician to believe that lie. So there were certainly physicians out there who, as a practice, set up clinics where everybody that rolled through got an OxyContin prescription. And to me, those physicians are more or less drug dealers in lab coats.
They should lose their license.
But the vast majority of people, you know, if you talk to Dr. Rebecca Gee, who's the head of the Department of Health in Louisiana, you know, she is and was a practicing OBGYN, and she was talking at the opioid summit the other day in Lafayette about how it was just a matter of course that for every woman that went in there and gave birth, they went home with 2 prescriptions, one of which was 90 opioids, regardless of whether or not that was necessary. And what we know now is that if you take an opioid for more than 2 weeks, your likelihood of becoming addicted goes through the roof. And why did they think that was good practice? They thought that was good practice because these companies spent millions of dollars convincing them that were true. And look, we all might have a lot of different ideas about how the opioid crisis should be addressed. If you think that tougher sentencing is appropriate, that's all well and good, but who is going to pay for the tougher sentencing? That's us. That's you, me, the other taxpayers in this room. But we, unlike the pharmaceutical manufacturers and distributors, neither created nor profited from the opioid crisis. So there are the solutions to this are multifaceted and complex and should absolutely be at the local level, which I think is one of the goals of this lawsuit, is to put the resources in the hands of people who know their community and know best what their community needs. Is it more law enforcement? Is it a methadone clinic? Is it equipping their fire department with Narcan or naloxone? That's what I wanted to say too.
That's fine. Thank
Yeah,
you.
thank you.
Councilman Grow.
Thank you, Madeline, for coming, and I agree with you about the heroin sentencing. My question is, why don't they, like I read an article, it was a while back, about this pill factory in New Orleans. I think it was even just a PA or a nurse practitioner. They were open till midnight.
I read that article.
They had people, a cop at the door. I mean, it was obvious. And people were reporting, it just took a while, wheels of justice, I guess, to bust them. But why don't they put these doctors on blast? You know, I mean, when you're a pharmaceutical rep, you know who's writing your scripts, no matter what you're selling. And if you're selling something like this, it's an opioid, they have the numbers, they know who's writing everything. When it looks, you know, why can't it be published and in lights? This guy is a pain doctor, and that's what he writes, and everybody can understand that. But if it's a dentist writing scripts for 200 pills, that's, I mean, these numbers got out of whack in Lafourche Parish, and I don't think it's every doctor in every clinic doing this. I think it's probably a handful of them, so why don't they put on blast?
Well, I'm glad you brought that up. Actually, so there are a few different entities that would have exactly the data that you're talking about. One would be the distributors, who every time somebody buys the pills from them, they have the most up-to-date real-time data. Well, the pharmacies would have it about that pharmacy, but they wouldn't have it. I mean, 3 big distributors control 85% of the market. So Cardinal Health, Amerisource, Bergen, and I think CVS Caremark, they know where 85% of all opioid pills are being dispensed at, in real time. The other people that would have that information are the manufacturers, who then they get notified because they sell to the distributors, who then redistribute. The third party that has that information is the DEA. The DEA has what's called the ARCOS database, but that is kept very tightly held by the DEA, and it's actually only as a result of this litigation that's been consolidated in Ohio that the DEA has agreed to release limited data at the aggregate state level, de-identified, whatever, but we're actually pushing really hard for the DEA to work with us, and even if it's for a few years back, so it doesn't jeopardize ongoing investigations, so that our local law enforcement agencies, your parish sheriff can know what pharmacies are out here writing 40% of the, or filling 40% of the prescriptions, whether or not they should be. So, yeah, that's absolutely critical information that it is there, but it's there at the level of the DEA, who has such a wide range of priorities that they're probably not going to go and bust the biggest pill mill in Lafourche Parish if they're also trying to get rid of Mexican drug cartel activity. You know what I mean? It's just but for here, if we could get that data into the hands of local law enforcement, then that would be their highest priority, and this would get shut down a lot faster.
Anyone else? Yeah, I agree with what's been said. It would be obvious to tell which doctors were just being pushers as far as just poorly prescribing. But I agree with you in saying that it seems much like the tobacco lies that were told years ago. And so now what? Now what for Lafourche?
I mean, that is really for, you guys to decide. I mean, my primary purpose here is to educate and talk about, what it is that we're doing, and we're certainly not the only people doing that in the state. I know the city of Thibodaux was recently considering whether or not to file a lawsuit to join in this multi-district litigation. But as far as I understand from, your home rule charter, all outside, if you were to hire outside counsel to sue the manufacturers and distributors of opioid pain medication, that contract would have to be negotiated by the parish president and ratified by the parish council. And, you know, unlike police juries, y'all don't have to get secondary approval from the attorney general or anything. I have a copy of a contract like what we have with our other parishes that I'd be happy to give to you, Mr. President, or to you.
Mr. Jimmy, have you looked into any of this as of yet?
I know I haven't, but I know it's an epidemic, and I know a lot of young people and old people that discriminate against anybody. And I know it's getting worse every year. This is a decision I think that y'all would have to make. First of all, do y'all want to move forward with it? And then I'll look at it and determine the situation with other people.
Mr. Melvin?
Yeah, thank you for coming. I'm kind of at a loss too as how to deal with this monster, but you know, pharmaceutical industry, from what I've seen in movies based on facts, is they'll roll the dice on things and get a whole boatload of money from selling a bad product, take the risk, and then deal with the fallout later. But if you look at the tobacco industry, even though the government went after them and sued them, they're still in business. So I don't know what your goal is besides slowing them down, but you'd have to maybe, depending on what your goals are, is to deal with these prescribers, and it's multifaceted. And then as far as if you would go to lawsuit, what would you do with the money? Is there a plan for that to maybe put it back in the system to help some of these people who have fallen off a ladder, some other folks? You know, you're just not a junkie if you get addicted. I mean, you could be,
Sure.
like Senator Kennedy said in Washington, you fall off a ladder. I get it. But I don't know what the answer is.
I think one of the lessons learned with the tobacco litigation was that there was a limited a lot of the tobacco money was settled at the state level. So the average dollar amount that a local entity had control over of that settlement money was like zero, right? That money went to fund, yes, certain smoking cessation initiatives, but really like to prop up our TOPS program here. So the attorneys who litigated against big tobacco in the 80s are still around, and they said, this time we're not going to make that mistake again. What we're going to do is we're going to sue on behalf of local entities so that really the beauty of what I do is that I don't have to figure out what works for Lafourche Parish or Jefferson, or any other parish out there. We're just here to try to help the parishes recover, and then you, in your infinite wisdom, will decide what to do with that money. And should there be any recovered, so whether that's treatment or law enforcement or what have you. But I know that the judge in this case isn't only interested in, he said at the very first settlement conference, we're not just interested here in moving money around. We want a global settlement that addresses these problems, that shuts down the pill mills, that implements prescription monitoring programs nationwide, that shares ARCOS data with local law enforcement, and that provides accessible addiction care to anyone who is suffering from a substance use disorder as a result of this crisis. So he's interested in seeing systemic change at the level of the prescriber and manufacturer and distributor, as well as putting money into the hands of the entities who are best positioned to open up a clinic or subsidize addiction treatment at already existing private hospitals or what have you. So,
Councilman LaFont, you had something else?
Yeah, I just say we need to be careful with this. Go back and like she's saying, it's local, but go back and read the tobacco and see who the big profiters were. They were the attorneys.
Right.
Also, who's next? Alcohol companies, they know it makes you drunk. You can die from alcohol poisoning, you can die from a lot. Who's next? We're going to sue the alcohol companies? There's a lot. We can sit here all day long and sue and sue and sue. But I'm not one to sue, so I'll vote no if y'all bring it up.
Okay. Anyone else? Thank you so much for coming. I really
Yep.
appreciate it.
Thank you guys for your time. Appreciate you.
Let the record show Councilman Bourgeois came in at 5:39 PM. D, Legal Advisor Report.
Good evening. Thank you all so much, Chairwoman Esposito and the rest of the council. I have not been here since the election, so good
Please
evening
state
to all of you.
your name and address for the
Christine
record,
Russell,
please.
District Attorney, 103 Moran Street, Suite A, Thibodaux, Louisiana. I am here tonight. I know there is number 16 on the agenda in regards to the extinguishment of a contract. I am here tonight to answer any questions. I just want to make sure everybody did receive the letter that I sent out yesterday in regards to my opinion on number 16. I want to make sure that you had it before tonight, to make sure that you knew what the district attorney's opinion is in regards to number 16. And I am here tonight to answer any questions that you may have, and I will stay for that as well. Okay?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anyone has something right now?
Yeah, I want to congratulate Mrs. Russell on the campaign, on the victory as welcome as the new DA for Lafourche. We're behind you, hoping you're greatly successful in that position.
Thank you very much. I
Thank you.
appreciate it. Thank you.
Councilman LaFont?
I'd like to defer from the agenda and go to 16 since they all here. If y'all don't mind, unless y'all want to wait. It's kind of, no, we got a short budget. We'll be
No,
that short.
I
That's
prefer
fine.
not to.
Okay. Thank you.
Okay. E, public wishing to address the council, number 13, Mr. Kirk Chasson, pulling that item. Mr. Chasson will not present before the council. Ms. Carlene, do you have any others?
Mr. Dennis Lassaya, if you'd approach the podium, Mr. Lassaya, state your name and address for the record, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Dennis Lasaire, 104 Bayou Onion Lane, Thibodaux, Louisiana. Just back again, just to get an update on resurfacing of Bayou Onion and Bayou Lower Street in Miss Lucy's district. I know I missed the last meeting, and I think the meeting before that, they were talking about soil compression and waiting for that analysis. Did we complete that, and are we moving forward with releasing the bids?
I know James Barnes, Public Works Director, isn't here. Mr. Lasang, do you have any, has anything happened, any movement?
If Jack would want to address it, I would, no.
I don't think, that's not a PCOLA project, though,
Oh,
is
that's
it?
not, oh, I'm sorry.
No, it's a Waits, David Waits project?
Yeah, Waits, but he said.
Okay.
David Lee,
Uh,
right?
Yeah, I'm not sure. We issued the order for him to do the work, and I'm not sure if it's not done.
So we don't have an answer. In other words, we don't know if they finished the compression.
Correct,
So we passed the 28 days, is what you're saying.
correct.
So how do we move forward?
We're moving forward. I mean, they're moving forward. They're not doing nothing. I mean, it's going to be done. I mean, it's going to be done.
Right. But in what time frame is my question?
Well, when it gets done.
Well, I understand, Mr. Lasare. We've been hearing it's going to get done for over a year, Mr. Lasang. So I appreciate you coming, Mr. Lasare, to try to make sure that it doesn't get put on a back burner. And that's all the residents of that area are trying to do. He's not trying to be a problem. He just wants to make sure that it's moving forward. Unfortunately, our Public Works Director isn't here today to give us more information. I will email, if Mr. Lasang could email me, I'll forward it to you, Mr. Lasare. If you can get an update and just see.
Yeah, I talk to James almost every day.
Okay.
I talk to
That-
Mr. Barnes
that'll be
almost every
fine.
day.
As long as we know, I can give some to the rest of the subdivision.
Yeah.
Because they, I'm the spokesman, they keep asking questions.
Right.
And
And
For-
Mr. Lasare, look, make no mistake, we appreciate when our residents come up and speak before us, no matter if you come here every meeting. And if it doesn't seem like everyone doesn't appreciate it, I can assure you, I do, and so does the rest of the council. So please keep coming. We understand. Anyone else for Mr. Lasare?
no, that's it. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Ms. Glenda Washington Patterson, you'd approach the podium, Ms. Patterson. State your name and address for the record, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Glenda Washington Patterson, 8333 River Road. I would like to ask if I can hand out these little staple package to
Sure.
each of the councils. what each of the package is talking about is, I was at Racial and Recreation District Number 2 since 2010. It's also outlining the work that.
Can you hang on a minute till we all get it?
Okay.
Get a copy, please. Just, sorry about that.
Sorry.
Okay, go ahead.
Yes, I was at the Racial and Recreation District Number 2 since 2010 under the administration of Mr. Milton Araby. When I came in with a mission and feel to believe that's what I have been achieving. Until here lately, after Mr. Araby time passed, we were given another administrator. Right after his contract started, I had been sexually abused. I tried to communicate that with, not just with our board, but also with Mr. Jimmy. I expressed that I did not go into details like I did 2 weeks ago. And I just reached my max. I just couldn't take it anymore. I did meet with Mr. Jimmy and Mr. Leaf and Jennifer and Mr. Washington back in October to tell them that my director was having some personal feelings towards me. I didn't like it. Went on to talk to them some of the stuff that he was starting to show. And, Mr. Jimmy said, well, when he starts talking like that, just write it down or record it or something like that. He said to that effect. I left from there and
Let me, who was in the meeting? You said Mr. Jimmy,
it was Mr. Jimmy,
the
Mr. Leaf,
administrator? was HR in there?
Jennifer Dufresne, Mr. Leaf, the administrator. Mr. Washington, he was, I think, a temporary for community action.
Okay.
And then I guess about 2 weeks ago, I just reached my max and I called Jennifer and I told Jennifer, I said, I cannot take it anymore. Sick of him trying to retaliate towards me because of you know what. And I did go into details with her about it. She told me she would contact Miss Emily. Miss Emily then came over. Jennifer and I, Miss Emily, met, went on to explain to them again what happened. She told me that she would contact Mr. Anthony Roussel, and they did. They later called me back a few days later and told me that he resigned. So that says something. About a week and a half ago, on the 17th, they later called me back in the office to tell me that they had a complaint that I was using recreation time.
Stop this. This is HR stuff.
Yeah, the chairwoman has stepped away from the desk, so I'll assume if you can just hang tight just for 1 second,
Okay.
we'd appreciate it.
I apologize, Ms. Washington. I wasn't aware, I'm still not quite aware where you're going with this. And we haven't dealt with this before as a council. The district attorney just mentioned to me that if it was a criminal complaint that you're presenting, that we can't hear that here.
it's a complaint that I haven't taken it anywhere yet.
But
And
if it
right
ends
now,
up
it's
being-
before the council. And I'm bringing it because it hasn't gone to that level yet. And my complaint is with this administration because a week later, they came back to fire me.
Okay, I think you probably, I don't want you to continue and maybe cause you problems with your case later on. I'm not an attorney, but when our DA, who is our legal counsel, says that, and you may not be, but it's possible you're going down a path that could hurt your case if in fact you do move forward with it, and I don't want to do that to you.
Okay.
I sympathize with your situation, and I'm very sorry, and I'm sorry you can't be heard right now. I just don't want to do anything to harm you or, you know.
At this point, with them away from the sexual harassment, with this administration wanting to, fired me, how do I address that? Do I address that to this board, to this council?
This is a legislative body. We're not the administration. Miss. Okay. You do know Christine is
Yes, I know
our
her.
district attorney. So.
Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Washington.
Ms. Glenda, look, we really I thought you was a great employee. I've been knowing you for 6 years. Sorry, we can't discuss it, but I think she's gonna help you out, and our sympathies are with you, okay?
Okay.
So please understand that, and I think Ms. Christine, we have to guide you, all right?
Thank you.
So thank you.
Ms. Colleen.
Mr. Stan Johnson, if you'd approach the podium, Mr. Johnson. State your name and address for the record, and please remember you have 3 minutes.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you so much. My name is Stanley Johnson. I live at 226 Cindy Lane in Gray. That is in the Bayou Blue area. I come here tonight primarily to speak to my councilman, Mr. Bourgeois, whom I have not been able to get in touch with. I've left messages for him. Well, tried to, but his voicemail is full. I know he's a busy man, but all I need is a few minutes to find out what we can do to help our Bayou Blue Recreation to be better. I compare it to the Terrebonne Parish Recreation, and I see that they are way ahead of us as far as providing for our children, our players, and it's very important to me as a grandpa. I'm out there as a coach. I'm old enough to sit back and watch, but at this time, we don't have enough coaches to volunteer with the parents and the kids that we have. But I need to know if we can have help to make our area there in Bayou Blue. And I need to know what monies we have coming toward us as a citizen in comparison to some of the other areas in Lockport, Raceland, Galliano. We're all together in this. So, sir, if I could get with you later, my phone number, I'll give you my phone number if you call me. I'm just a coach. I'm not trying to do anybody else's job but help our kids. But I can give you my number if you want to write it down, and you call me anytime, and I'll be glad to meet with you and discuss what we are facing. I don't think we need to let everybody know it's here tonight. There's more important issues, I'm sure. But if we could get together, I think we could do and go forward in this area. So my number is 985.
Hang on a second. Let me let you walk up here and write it down for Mr. Bourgeois.
Sure.
So it's not
Not a problem.
on TV, just to protect you. Thank you for coming out.
Yes, ma'am. Thank you for having me.
Have engineers and architect reports. Anyone? Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Good evening, Jack Plaisance, 115 Picciola Parkway. I have a couple of engineering projects to talk about and the project management work we're doing for the CDBG program. So first project is road sales tax 24L. Similar report that we've done before. All the work on the surveying and engineering is complete. We've submitted the plans to the parish for approval. And you know that we have some budget issues and need some direction from the administration on this project. Also, the EDA grant. I think you know that we recently assisted in having the right-of-ways finalized on this project, and we are ready to advertise for bid pending review and approval by the EDA. The Chevron Bridge down in Fouchon demolition project. This is a picture from, I think, Wednesday. On Thursday, they completed the removal of the center pier, the pivot pier. So basically, the work is done. I think we have a diver scheduled to come out and double-check pilings that were extracted earlier, but this project is basically nearly complete and well ahead of schedule. And finally, engineering report, the Choctaw Levee rehab permitting. We're still in the permitting phase. We've met with the Corps of Engineers. We've had recent discussions with the Corps and DNR. We submitted some preliminary drawings to the Corps analyst, and we are preparing to submit a final joint permit application once these agencies clear the concepts and also the parish administration. Going through quickly on the CDBG projects, the Dugas Canal drainage improvements. David Waits' office will be submitting the final bid documents to us within the next few days. We actually received the plans today. The parish is nearly ready to advertise for bids. You know that the Water District right-of-ways were recently approved, and those documents are currently being executed and recorded. West Side drainage improvements. This project is substantially complete. The retainage payment is pending a clear lien certificate, and I know Dustin's here to maybe repeat what I'm saying or add a little more, but it did end up below budget on this project. There has been some discussion about some additional work, and we are anticipating some direction from the administration on that. 308 roadway and drainage, similar situation. The project is substantially complete, and Huey Stockstill's retainage payment is pending a clear lien certificate. Parlor Rose Pump Station, sea level construction is, as you know, now working on rehabilitating the two pumps. Most of the materials are on hand. The pumps would likely be going out to low lift to be refurbished, and we're probably looking at about a 6 to 8 week turnaround. Sea Level is committed to drop everything they have on their plate and reinstall those pumps once they're returned from the shop. And finally, on the Lafourche Community and Recreation Center, we're expecting you're going to see conveyance documents come forward to council for approval next month for the property acquisition that I think you know about. And Duplantis Design Group is basically ready with finalized plans and specifications and would be ready to advertise once the land acquisition is completed. So that concludes my report. If there's any questions, I'd be glad to discuss.
Councilman Jones.
I don't have a question, Jack, just a remark. I'm still dissatisfied with West Side Drainage Project.
Appreciate it. Understood.
Councilman Otan.
Yeah, and I'll just express the same thing, that, you know, people are still very, very disappointed with the parlor rules and that the rate that is, I mean, they're here 8 weeks, then they'll get it back and then they'll start installing it. It's pretty disappointing. I would certainly express that to sea level, and we certainly should consider those things in the future when we look at them. Because once again, there's a lot of dissatisfied landowners right now that committed their property and gave up right-of-ways and expected a pump station to be there in operation last year. So I just want to mention that, Jack.
Choctaw levy. It's just to move that existing levy, right? To move it and
We
just layman's terms, what's specifically to happen there?
specifically on this image, you can kind of see the general idea. There's a right-of-way for a pipeline that crosses from east to west about almost midway down the levee reach. Because above the pipeline there are residences in that area, the administration wants to move forward with leaving that piece of levee as is. And of course, that would require some after-the-fact mitigation costs. South of the pipeline right-of-way, there are no landowners inside the protection levee. So the concept here is to remove the levee at the rear and elevate the road to have a complete level of protection around the residences on the west side of the highway, of the roadway. So there would be some restoration of the wetlands below the pipeline and mitigation for the permanent impacts above the pipeline.
I appreciate you explaining that. I know a lot of residents watch this and would have liked to, are going to also appreciate the explanation. Councilman Melvin.
Thanks, Jack, for the update on Dugas. I know it's been 8 years and exactly not what it was designed for, but, you know, we got to spend the money, so thank you.
Appreciate it.
The only thing I'll add is thank you for sending all your presentations early and for providing hard copies of them for us here.
You're very
I really
welcome.
appreciate the extra effort. Anyone else? Oh, Councilman Jones.
I got a question for Councilman Melvin. Come back with what you're saying?
I said it's been 8 years since the origination of the Dugas Canal project, and, well, we're not getting our pump station, but the state says we got to spend the money, so I'm hoping that what they have planned will definitely help our residents. Thank you.
Was that the plan that y'all doing? Was it in the scope of the project?
Yes, sir. It's in the current scope of the project. Sure is.
I'd like to stay abreast of that with you, Mr. Melvin. Thank you.
Thank you, Jack.
You're welcome.
Any other engineers? Hey, Dustin, state your name and address for the record, please.
Dustin Rabelais, representing T. Baker Smith, 1100 South Acadia Road, Thibodeau. First project I have for you here is Barataria Marsh Creation Project. If you recall, we were waiting to have a meeting with CPRA on how best to move this project forward and actually get funding out of the master plan. Appears as though that meeting has been scheduled. I don't know the time. It was scheduled actually just a little while ago from what I could tell on my email after looking at it quickly. But when I do get that time, I'll certainly update you on that project the next time I report. All right, next project, everyone's favorite project, Cyprian Pump Station. Over the past 2 to 3 weeks, we've had several meetings with on this project. I'm happy to say I think we have every issue solved or have a path forward to end this. So there was two main things that stood out. Let me just take one at a time. First off, you had a gas pipeline that needed to be relocated. Fortunately, in the past week, that flow line has shut in, okay? And that's just luck. So The pipeline owner has agreed to go ahead and P&A that line, okay? So the only thing we're gonna do to speed it up after working with the administration is we're gonna go ahead and put in our contract so that we don't delay the contractor or delay the advertisement, to go ahead and cut that line and cap it off where we need it capped off to build the pump station, okay? Not a very large expense. So the second issue was the temporary construction access that was required by the landowner, okay, and his bank line erosion issues, coupled with a right-of-way agreement that the parish had given that owner and some other promises that were made, 30, 40 years ago that were never fulfilled. We had a meeting with the levy district, parish administration, and all those things got worked out, or there's a path forward on how to solve this. I've conveyed that to the landowner. I was able to get a hold of him yesterday. He is agreeable to what we are proposing to do. So working with the administration, we already have the right-of-way documents drawn up and done up, ready to go. So I will get that to the administration, convey his terms and conditions so that they can get that to the district attorney's office to put the front-end portions of that document together. Once they do that, I'll happily go run around and get everything signed, okay? And then in addition on that pipeline, I just remembered, I would assume that we would have to get some kind of cooperative endeavor agreement allowing and I don't know how this is going to work, but allowing the parish to go ahead and splice that line and cap it off. Because what we can't do is we can't take bids and then all of a sudden he renege on his offer. So we have to get that taken care of as well. But we'll get that done in the next week or two. That's not a big deal. What also came out of that meeting was there's going to be a change in the scope of, in terms of what the parish will and will not do on this pump station. So now what's going to happen is I guess due to manpower, whatever the case may be, previously the parish was going to take care of the electrical component of this pump station, which was not a very big deal because, it has an alternator on the motors and it's going to run off of batteries. But there are going to be some additional things they want run to that station that they're going to go ahead and have us put into our contract. And then additionally, we will also include in our advertisement package all of the, for the contractor to go ahead and deconstruct that pump station and remove it, okay, so that the parish doesn't have to do that. And there was a multitude of reasons why I think that's the best way to move forward. Then in addition, we will also go ahead and do the engineering and design to place it's probably gonna be some submar mats, okay? But the place the submar mats on the construction access landowner side of the outfall canal for bank line erosion along his bank line, which will also satisfy him and satisfy that previous agreement. All of those things are outside of the scope of our contract. Now, for certain liability reasons, okay, we have to have an amendment to our contract, okay? As far as what the costs of that are, they're not going to be excessive, okay? But when you look at, having to get that amendment to our contract put in front of the council, when you look at having to get the cooperative endeavor agreement in front of the council, and also the right-of-way agreement has to be approved by the council, you would delay this project another 30 days. So what I've worked with the administration is we're just going to go ahead and get all those things together. I'll get it on the next available agenda, but we're still going to advertise this project and we're not going to delay it. Could all these changes delay the bid date? Yeah, but it's not going to be months, maybe a week or two. This is not excessive, okay? The biggest thing is going to be how quickly can an electrical engineer do his portion of this plan set. Now, this is as simple as it can get for an electrical engineer. And I think we have somebody that can do this in about 10 days or less. So I don't anticipate any more substantial problems with this project. And that's what we have on Cyprian. East side drainage improvements, if you recall, our agreement with the parish is executed. The cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish and DOTD is executed. We have executed our sub-consultant agreement with John Plaisance Engineering, who was doing all the land ownership mapping, getting all that together. Also working with a few of them to find out where we can cut these laterals that we do need. That's integral to this project. So, and where those things are cut will affect your plans, okay? So, he is supposed to have that report to us by the end of this month, and we will go ahead and meet with the administration on those findings. The next project I have is something I hadn't really been reporting on, but y'all did pass a cooperative, and well, I'm sorry, you didn't. You have on the agenda to pass a cooperative endeavor agreement with St. James Parish for the Louisiana Highway 20.
I'll pull that one today. The attorneys have to look at it.
Yeah, I know right before the meeting, Tommy, I don't know what's said, but I know you spoke to Ms. Lisa about the status of that, and I'm not aware of the latest and greatest.
They're addressing it, and I would guess perhaps the next council meeting will be ready.
Yeah, you know, then, so.
Yeah, if
anyway.
you could just explain the importance of that for those council members who may not remember
Right,
the
so
project.
that's a project that if you're familiar with Chagbay, you know, as you're leaving Lafourche Parish and you're making that hard turn near Nacos to go to Vacherie, okay, it essentially widens the road from that point, replaces that bridge at Bayou Cervero, and then winds the road until you make that next hard right turn going into St. James. This is essentially a grant, okay? It's a $6.5 million award from the federal government. We have a 0% match on this, okay? The only stipulation is that, you know, St. James is paying for their share, Lafourche is paying for theirs. You gotta pay for the E&D, utility relocations, permitting, and things of that nature. But as far as the construction costs, they fund that 100%. So it's a substantial project in Lafourche. So, and it also sets the tone to continue to do some other projects along LA 20 around Sugar Ridge and the curb at the church and a few other areas. Next project I have is Waverly Road. You know, as I reported last time, you know, Mr. Pentek is retiring, okay? Dennis is desperately trying to work to see if we can get those.
Do we know his replacement yet?
Dennis does. I don't honestly know who it is. What we're trying to do is we do have some funds to leverage on this Waverly Road project. You have, and we say it's Waverly Road, it's actually two bridges, okay, small bridges on Talbot that are gonna need to be replaced, okay? And so what we're trying to do is take the money that's left in Waverly Road and use that as a cost match to get those two bridges extracted. And by virtue of doing that at the intersection of Waverly and Talbot, we would fix the worst 200 feet of Waverly Road, because one of the problems you have if you coming from LA 1 to Talbot on Waverly Road, like when you go to make that right-hand turn at the bridge, it's very difficult. You actually have to almost get in the opposite lane. And then in addition to that, you know, I was notified that the fire department is reluctant to even drive across those bridges, which is probably wise, okay? So if we could pull this off, this would provide some benefit. I know that it doesn't address everything that you, well, it's both in both your districts, really, you know. I know it doesn't address every part of that road, but it is a start, and it would give you a lot of bang for your buck, so.
Yeah, when I put the money in the project, I didn't plan on the two bridges on Talbot, so I know a lot of work is needed on Waverly. I guess we'll need to get with administration as time goes on as to what will happen with the rest of the rest of the work on Waverly.
Well, let us see if we can get the money for this first. You know, I mean, if y'all don't want to do the other bridge, that other bridge is so small, if we can get DOTD to fund this thing now.
Yeah.
You know, the engineering and design on that little one really ain't much at all. It's going to be to go ahead, do the design on the utility relocations on Waverly at that intersection, the box culverts, the geotech to put all that in and shore up that edge of the road, because there is a spot within that first 200 feet. You can tell that road section's starting to kind of somewhat crack off and slough down. So that's really what the bulk of those remaining funds would do. Okay. All right, my last project is West Side Drainage Improvement Project. As Jack reported, you know, we're still in that clear lean period. They have approximately about 2 weeks left, okay? We've been working with Pisciola Engineering and Lafourche Parish Government on researching, I guess the first thing was what exactly happened, okay? And how do we get to this point? Evidently, I know that Councilman Jones feels as though there's some incomplete work. I understand that. We've always said that we're willing to do whatever it takes to assist this problem and address it, and we're not going to run from it. We did find out a few things. I know that Jack had sent I guess you could say like a small report to the administration on what the findings were and just to memorialize everything. I don't know the disposition of that, but at this point in time, you know, just as Jack reported, we're just standing by to see how they want to address the remainder of this project, okay? I did this Saturday just to kind of document what was going on out there. It was this Saturday that we had the rain,
Saturday
right?
before last, yeah.
Okay, I did go out there, take pictures of it after that rainfall event, which, you know, from the radar was about 4.5, 5 inches in that area, just to see what that would do in that area. And I'll also be getting those pictures sent out to the administration, and if you want them as well. So with that, that's all I have.
That was,
Councilman
that was on
Jones?
the 14th, that Saturday.
It was the day we had all that bad weather.
Yeah.
It came through early in the morning.
Okay, did you see the water not flowing toward Tiger Drive? It was at a standstill?
It was. It wasn't moving. Actually, well, so looking into that, I was able to get with Jimmy Leday on that, who's done the modeling and all that. Evidently, you know, the way the model's set up and from his research, okay, that's actually a different drainage basin, okay? And so it may be that that water really wasn't necessarily designed to go to that Waverly Road ditch, if you will, okay? It could be a problem further downstream.
Not Waverly.
I'm sorry, not Waverly, the west side ditch. I'm sorry, it's been a long day. So, but all that's been provided to the administration to take a look at. So, but you're right, it wasn't moving.
Wasn't moving. And I guess I'm in order to say this with the DA sitting here. Can you get with the city, Archie and you and Joe can get together and solve that problem?
Yeah, so actually, it by the
Not
time.
directing.
So, Mr. James is planning that.
All right.
That's already been in the
Thank you.
works. It just, we couldn't get everybody's schedule all together at the same time. But that is in the works.
Councilman Bourgeois?
Hey, first off, I want to apologize. When you mentioned Nacos and Chack Bay, I chuckled because there's Nacos right by Cyprian too. And you went from one to the other and there's two Nacos. But anyhow, I really want to express my appreciation on getting Cyprian rolling forward. My good friend, Mr. Butch Monnier, hasn't called me recently about it, so I guess he's happy with the progress, but it sounds like we're really doing something. Can you give a ballpark as to when you're going to put it out to bid?
Oh, man,
Just a
look,
ballpark.
I'm hoping, you know, we had originally said at the end of this month, okay? I don't want to delay it any more than 10, 12 days after the end of this month, okay? Believe me, nobody wants this thing done more than me.
So by June, we should have a contractor.
I think so. Okay. The real unknown here is how quickly can that electrical engineer get that E&D done on that drawing. And man, until we have them locked down and under contract, I don't know.
And like I said, I know you're working hard, and I don't want to beat you up, but
yeah,
June becomes another hurricane season. It's going to be
I don't dispute that. You don't need to beat me up. Butch does that regularly anyway.
Okay.
I promise you.
Thank you.
Anyone else? Thank you, Dustin.
Thank you. Thank y'all.
G, public hearing and ordinances for ratification. Can I get a motion to open public hearing? Who said that? Who said that? Parallel first? Moved by Councilman Paralus, second by Bourgeois. Number 14, ordinance requiring a representative from the Department of Public Works designated by the parish president to present a monthly report on the first meeting of every month and to participate in a question and answer session with the council. If the designated representative does not have anything to report, his or her presence is still required for a Q&A. Although Q&A may extend a lot of time, the designated Representative's presentation shall not exceed 6 minutes. This presentation can be canceled by the council chair. Can someone move on that for me? Moved by Councilman Melvin, second by Jones. Any comment from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Any comment from the council? The only thing I'd like to say is I hope you all saw the DA opinion on this, and I would appreciate your support on the item. Okay, you ready to vote? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 7-2. With the 2 nays being Lorraine and Bourgeois. Number 15, ordinance requiring a representative from the Finance Department designated by the parish president to present quarterly reports and participate in a question and answer session with the council on the second meeting of the first month of every quarter. If the designated representative has nothing to report, his or her presence is required for question and answer. Although Q&A may extend a lot of time, the designated representative's presentation shall not exceed 10 minutes. This presentation can be canceled by the council chair. Can someone move for me? Moved by Councilman Jones, second by Grow. Any discussion from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Any comment from the council? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Passes 7-2 with Bourgeois and Lorraine opposed. Number 16, ordinance to extinguish the contract entered into by the administration with Mr. James Cobb Jr., named in resolution number 18-046, which was rescinded by the Lafourche Parish Council at the March 13, 2018 Lafourche Parish Council meeting. Can someone move for me? Moved by Paraloo, second by Jones. Any comment from the public? I have a, 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Mr. Cobb? Yes, ma'am. Would you please state your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, ma'am. James Cobb, 900 Emerald Street, New Orleans, Louisiana. And Madam Chairman, I might go a little over my 3 minutes. Can I get a
If a council member is willing to.
Thank you so much. While I'm from New Orleans, I don't want you to think I'm one of them New Orleans lawyers. I grew up representing people in Lafourche Parish. 1978, I represented Nolte J. Terrio. I represented Duce and Adams, Galliano Tugs, all of these companies, and I worked for Crosby Tugs, one of the largest employers in this parish. And I worked for Crosby Tugs with District Attorney Russell's husband, Blaine Russell, a very good friend of mine. So I have been down here for 40 years representing the people of Lafourche Parish and the companies in Lafourche. And I'm here today to oppose this motion to extinguish my contract or extinguish, however the words go. And I do have to tell you folks on the front end of my presentation, which is, I'm going to do a bullet point, it's not going to take a long time, and that is that it's my view that it's a certainty that all of you will be witnesses in the federal court case, especially you, Chairwoman Sposito. Why do I say that? I say that because in Mr. Bagala's lawsuit, at pages 4, 5, and 6, he quotes Chairwoman Sposito. So you're in, I don't know if you've seen this, Chairwoman.
Do you really think you should discuss particulars about this case?
Sure.
Okay.
Yeah, this is public record.
Okay.
This is public record, and comes right out of the federal court. And what I'm cautioning, I'm being transparent, and I'm cautioning you folks, because it seems to me, if you all are going to be witnesses in this case, and you know who you are, you know who the witnesses are, certainly you are, Chairwoman, that I would raise the issue about whether or not, if you're a witness in a case, can you sit as a legislator and make a decision about who President Cantrell is going to have as his lawyer? You want to talk about a conflict of interest? There couldn't be a clearer one on the face of the record. So I'm just letting you know that at some point in time, you're going to be a witness, it's going to be under oath, and all of the actions that lead us to this day today will be subject to inquiry in the federal court under oath. I want you to be aware of that. Now, I agree with much that the district attorney has written, but I disagree with some important parts of it, okay? She says in her letter to you guys of April 23rd, under Rule 1.16, a client has a right to discharge a lawyer at any time. She's right. A client does. You're not my client. The Lafourche Parish Council, the Lafourche Parish government is not my client. Therefore, you can't do indirectly what you can't do directly, which is discharge me. Okay? Now, Lafourche Parish government.
Your time is up.
Can I get someone to yield me the
3
balance
more
of the time?
minutes. Councilman Bourgeois, relinquish time to you.
Thank you, sir. Lafourche Parish government has a lawyer, not me. His name is Stephen Haddock, and he's in the audience. So the whole basis of the notion that I have to be extinguished, that's kind of a serious word they use to get rid of me, have to be extinguished, my contract, is false. The parish is represented by somebody else, and it's not me. I also point you guys to the contract itself, and the contract itself is signed by President Cantrell and by me. And the contract calls for me to furnish the following services, and I quote, representation of James Cantrell in his capacity as parish president of Lafourche Parish in the matter of Reggie Bagala versus Lafourche Parish government. On the face of the record, I'm not representing him pursuant to that contract, except in his capacity, his official capacity as parish president. So there can't be a conflict of interest. And based upon what I've read, the allegation by members of the council that I have a conflict of interest is false. It's not true. The allegation that this council can discharge me is incorrect. Any client can fire any lawyer anytime for any reason. Ms. Russell and I are in complete agreement over that. I'll say it one more time. You're not my client. You're not my client. And if you persist in the extinguishment of a contract, and by the way, I got to say this right now, we are 2 weeks from tomorrow away from a major hearing in federal court in our attempt to very swiftly and completely dismiss this case because we think it's baloney. And we filed a dispositive motion to dismiss it. Why would this council change horses in the middle of the stream? We're not even in the middle of the stream. We're coming out on the other bank. So we have a big hearing. This is a distraction. My job is to save the residents of Lafourche Parish taxpayer dollars from a judgment that this gentleman, by the way, I have to say this for the record, the plaintiff against the parish is your employee. Does that strike anybody else other than me as odd? That your guy is the one that's prompted the whole thing? So, it is absolutely certain that someone who's not a client can't discharge another lawyer. My duty is to save the citizens of Lafourche Parish money by having this, what I think to be frivolous lawsuit, dismissed and try to get the cost from Mr. Bagla. That's my job. And if you all want to fire me for doing that job,
You're again out of time.
anybody want to give me a couple of minutes?
I'm going to give him 3 minutes because every speaker
You'll
that
have
spoke
3
here
more
tonight
minutes.
went over 3 minutes.
Yes, sir.
Excellent.
Point of
3
order,
more
ma'am.
minutes.
Thank you, sir. I think the record's clear that the only one that the buzzer rang on was me. But I understand that.
Yeah, I see.
I could have stepped out the room.
Yes,
'Cause
so,
I got a bad knee. I've been walking around. Let me read to you folks from the Louisiana Supreme Court. It's very simple. You don't need to be a lawyer to understand it. On what the definition of a conflict of interest is. A conflict of interest exists if the representation of one client will be directly adverse to another client. We don't have that here. There's no adversity between me and Jimmy Cantrell or anybody else. The only person I'm adverse with is Mr. Bagala, your employee. And I didn't pick that fight, he did. But I intend to finish it on behalf of the residents of Lafourche Parish. The only other situation of a conflict of interest is if there's a significant risk that the representation of one or more clients will be materially limited by the lawyer's responsibilities to another client. Doesn't exist, okay? Ms. Russell and I disagree about the law. I think our position is in good faith and well taken, and I think my position is in good faith and well taken. My question to you as the legislative body is, why would you get in the middle of this right now? A representation where we have pushed and pushed and pushed and have, within a month and a half, a dispositive motion to dismiss the whole case and save you guys and the residents of Lafourche Parish money. I don't get it. At any rate, the motion to dismiss, which we included in our papers, I presume members of the council got our submission. Did you guys get it? We sent it electronically, I guess. Thank you, Madam Clerk. The motion to dismiss is serious. It's imminent. We have a very smart judge. He was the judge on the BP case, Judge Carl Barbier. Smart guy. And we look forward to that hearing, and we look forward to the opportunity to exonerate Lafourche Parish from the charges, and Jimmy Cantrell, from the charges that we discriminated against Mr. Bagala. As I understand it, Mr. Bagala was let go by the executive one day, and 3 days later had a job with you guys at the exact same salary with the exact same benefits. It's all going to come out. I'll be happy to answer any questions that the council might have.
I have some.
Councilman Perilou.
I'm going to vote to extinguish the contract, sir, because I don't know if you remember this, but a while back I divulged a conversation that me and Mr. Cantrell had, and I divulged it publicly and then received a lawsuit threat letter from you as his counsel, as his personal counsel. So no way I can vote for my taxpayer dollars and of my constituents to pay for your salary for anything.
I appreciate your honesty, Councilman.
Councilman Bourgeois.
Mr. Cobb, could you go over again, like, the timelines? You said there's a couple weeks before, you know, the
Yes,
hearing
sir.
is on this.
The hearing
What
is-
would it be the cost to the taxpayers if suddenly we extinguish the contract, we have to get new counsel? Are we talking thousands and thousands of dollars?
Of course, but more importantly, I think we have the high ground. I think we have the advantage. And I wish you guys would join together with me in trying to defeat this lawsuit. I'm not sure all of you want to defeat it, but you should, regardless of what a letter that I wrote to anybody else. Let's come together on the notion of we've been sued, it's baloney, and let's work with this lawyer to get it dismissed. What's the matter with that? And that's my point.
Bourgeois, you done?
Yeah, I have another question. Okay,
Okay.
can you go over again one more time? You're representing the parish president
In his official
in
capacity.
his official capacity
Period.
against our legislative auditor.
Correct.
And there's a determination or question about conflict of interest. Can you just clarify that a little bit better?
I'll try.
Thank you.
As I understand it from the comments of the council, part of the allegation is I have a conflict of interest in representing Mr. Cantrell, President Cantrell, individually and in his official capacity, because I won't know which client to charge money to for which function I am performing. And I think that Chairwoman Spacito expressed concerns in that regard.
No, that wouldn't have been me.
Okay, I'm confused, ma'am, but somebody did. Thank you. And what I want to tell you is, again, looking directly at Mr. Bagala's lawsuit, and I have it here, we provided it to you, there is not one allegation in the lawsuit against President Cantrell as an individual. Not one. Zero. Paragraph 4, page 2, at all times pertinent hereto, defendant Jimmy Cantrell was the parish president for the Lafourche Parish government and the supervisor of plaintiff. Another paragraph, at all times pertinent hereto, he's the president of the parish and the supervisor of the plaintiff. So, and by the way, I don't want to tip off Mr. Bagala, but the fact that he hasn't made an allegation individually against the president is, I think, the death knell for his claim against Mr. Cantrell. All Mr. Cantrell did was to exercise his judgment and decided he wanted to get rid of this employee, for which he got sued. But also at paragraph 19, at all times pertinent here too, defendant Cantrell was the policymaker of Lafourche Parish Consolidated Government and in the course and scope of his employment. Now, if he'd done something outside the course and scope of his employment, got in a car wreck and ran Mr. Baga over, that's not in the course and scope of his employment. This clearly is. And I know it's been hard for this council to get together with the executive branch, but it's a separate branch. And I'm going to suggest to you guys that the legislative branch cannot interfere in the executive's choice of counsel. Put another way, how would you guys like it if you got sued and Mr. Cantrell decided who your lawyer is going to be? You'd be okay with that? I don't think so. And that's what's at work here. The freedom of contract, the freedom of choice of lawyer. This is the United States of America. He should be able to pick his lawyer, and you guys, if it's in the course and scope, should pay for the representation in order to save the parish money. It's that simple.
Councilman LaFont.
Yeah, I just find it, I think it's kind of humorous, Mr. Bourgeois, that you, in your first statement, you said would save taxpayers money, when I think you have pending case right now of claiming homestead exemption against you in 2 different parishes.
Nope. I'm actually.
You don't have the floor, Councilman Bourgeois. Councilman Melvin. LaFont, were you done?
Yeah.
Councilman Melvin?
Yes, this may be a question for the DA as well, but I voted no to open up.
Sue your ass.
To
All
open
right,
up.
you're out of order.
I voted no to expand on the lawyer list because I figured we already had enough lawyers in there. I mean, it wasn't until something came up, I don't know all the details of the case, but it wasn't until something come up that things were going to change. And I thought we had some good lawyers on there, you know, from here. I always try to use people from here, and I don't think I'm denying Mr. Cantrell's right to get a lawyer because it's my understanding that we have a parish lawyer, as you mentioned, so I don't know why the parish would have to be paying for a whole nother lawyer for.
Well, if I could answer that,
you know.
Councilman, this is pretty complicated stuff. It's not garden variety. It is a civil rights case in federal court. And with all due deference to the district attorney, current district attorney and former, I don't know that they've ever handled those in federal court, okay? It's specialized, it's specific. I've taught federal court procedure at Tulane University for 31 years. I've taught it at Harvard Law School for 10 years. I know something about this. I know something about this.
So if the parish is found liable, either the parish, Mr. Cantrell, what have you, we still have to pay his bills for some bad decisions? I mean, that's kind of, that happens all the time.
It does, but I can assure you, if I'm in the decision-making room, we won't make bad decisions, okay?
Well, I'm not talking about your decisions. I'm talking about decisions that got us to this point. I'm talking about if the parish or Mr. Cantrell is found liable, are the taxpayers still footing the bill for this?
Well, if he's found liable, and if Mr. Bagala can put on a case where he has somehow been damaged economically, it's virtually impossible because he got another job within 3 days at the exact same salary and benefits. He's got no damage. So I'm not worried about that.
Well, like I said, I'm just kind of confused. I don't know why we, you know.
Councilman Grow.
Yeah, I was just going to mention, because we talked about timelines, and you asked a couple questions that I can answer personally on what my feelings are. We've identified you have represented President Cantrell in the past.
On a totally separate, unrelated matter.
But you have?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes,
Are
sir.
you currently representing him now in any pending litigation?
No.
Okay.
Other than this one.
Okay. And in this one, since you make reference to it, we hadn't voted on this yet you were making quotes to the Daily Comment, a publication, paper, about us, and in quotes, the unprofessional behavior of the council. You think we'd have voted on you, knowing that you said that before the vote came up? Did that come out before the vote or after the vote? It came out that night. So you obviously didn't quote them while they were in here,
No, wait, I think
listening to the meeting. So you were working on this case before you were hired, right?
I was not working the case before I was hired. I was hired by Mr. Cantrell.
Okay.
We were going through the.
So you were hired by him personally, then he said, oh, let's switch it to the parish.
No,
label.
we're going through the procedures to get the parish approval. And with respect to what I said, Councilman Gross, I'm glad you brought it up. And I want to respond to it.
Okay.
And my comment was specifically related to some member of this council, I don't know who it was, who secretly taped a conversation with somebody else. In which
Councilman Bourgeois, you do not have the floor. Please stop with the outburst.
I'm shaken up right now.
Go ahead, sir.
Okay, thank you.
Council as a whole is
May I
who you
finish?
referenced.
May I finish, Councilman? In which a secret tape recording was made, in which Mr. Cantrell's wife and family, civilians, they're not in here, they're not public servants, they don't run for office, in which they were maligned, defamed, and slandered, and then somebody up here brought that secret tape recording to a council member and played it for everybody to hear. That is not conduct to be admired, sir. That's the exact reason I said what I said, and I stand by it. Shame on whoever did it.
Okay, it wasn't me. You referred to the council as a whole with that.
No, sir.
But it said council. It doesn't say council member.
It was
or
a
anything like
council
that.
member. It was
Okay.
not done. It was not done.
But I don't know why they would have called you if you weren't our hired attorney on this, the parish's hired attorney on this.
There's no accounting for the media,
Okay.
as you guys well know.
And your billable rate is what, $225, $250 for this? Obviously, it's probably a lot more in private practice.
It's $450 in private practice because of my respect for Jimmy Cantrell, and once again, no good deed goes unpunished. My usual federal court rate of $450 has been cut in half to try to help this man and this parish out. So I ain't getting rich on it, Councilman.
No, but to say you've accumulated thousands of dollars worth of legal fees so far, is that accurate?
I'm sure.
At the rate of two, especially if you're working on it before we hired you.
Well,
You know?
there is a bill that will be generated. It will have dates and time related to the representation. 90% of this happened in the lead up to the filing of the motion to dismiss, which we included in our materials. I sure hope you folks read it. It's a killer motion to dismiss. You take one look at it, and anybody who does federal court work knows that it's a good motion. I'm not guaranteeing we're going to win. I feel pretty good about it, but that costs money.
And you have no other cases you're working on for Mr. Cantrell at this time? Not representing him in any businesses or any capacity other than this case right now?
I have never represented him in business. I have consulted with him regarding some issues with this council before right now. But with respect to your question, am I currently representing him in any other litigation or any other matter? The answer is no.
Okay.
And therefore, it begs the answer, there's no conflict, because you can't have a conflict with this. It's the same client. Now, if I was representing his wife, and his wife was suing him for divorce, that would be a conflict. But when you're on the same team and at the same time with the same guy, there's no conflict, folks. It's pretty simple. I would like to make a plea to this council to come together, to give us the support we need to defeat this lawsuit, and to save the taxpayers of this parish money exposed to by a lawsuit filed by a parish employee. And we'll have a lot to say about that later on.
Councilman Bourgeois.
Yeah, I was just going to ask Mr. Cobb if you had anything else you need to say that wasn't covered by questions. I was going to
No, sir, I
give you the
think
opportunity.
that covers it, and you guys have been
Thank
here a
you,
long time.
Councilman Jones.
Call for question.
We need a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Nay. Okay, well, we're called for question. So now we move on to the vote. So call for question passed 7-2 with Bourgeois and Lorraine. The only two nays. The only thing I would, never mind. We called to question. Okay, I'd like to put this on the board. Tyra, are you ready? It's number 16. All right. 16, ordinance to extinguish the contract entered into by the administration with James Cobb Jr., name and resolution number 18046, which was rescinded by the Lafourche Parish Council at the March 13, 2018 Lafourche Parish Council meeting. Now that a vote of yes extinguishes this contract, a vote of yes extinguishes, a vote of no leaves the contract in place. Does everyone understand? Yes extinguishes, no leaves it in place. Right, Carlene? Okay. Please vote. We waiting on someone? I don't know. Everyone try to press in case. Motion passes 6-1 with Councilman Perilou abstaining. And Councilman Lorraine and Councilman Bourgeois, the 2 nays. Motion carries. You got it? Number 17, ordinance approving the attached servitude agreement between Byron E. Talbot, represented by Darrell Talbot, and the Lafourche Parish Council, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement. Moved by Councilman Melvin, second by Bourgeois. Any comment from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Any comment from the council? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 18, ordinance to accept the subdivision known as Highland Oaks Phase 3 into the parish system, moved by Councilman Bourgeois, second by Councilman Lorraine. Any comment from the public? 1 time, 2 times, 3 times. Any comment from the council?
I do have something.
Councilman Perilou?
Okay, I know there's been talk in the past about accepting subdivisions into the parish system. Do we have mechanisms in place to make sure that there's proper drainage, that is not impinging on other subdivisions and stuff like that? Anyone?
Ms. Pat.
Okay, awesome.
Ms. Pat, please
I just
state
want to
your-
make sure we're doing the right thing here, you know, because people's
state your name and
livelihoods and
address for the
homes
record.
count on it.
Pat Mathern, Lafourche Parish Government Planning Manager. Do I have to say the address? 4826 Highway 1, Matthews, Louisiana. Okay, sorry about that. Yes, once it comes to you, to the council to be accepted into the parish maintenance system, they have met all requirements by the Department of Public Works pertaining to drainage, roads, any infrastructure that is in place, and also approval by the Planning Commission of all requirements. So therefore, and then also, once they're approved, we have a maintenance bond that is in place for 2 years that becomes effective the day that is accepted. And for 2 years, the developer is responsible for any crack panels, any drainage issues. So we are covered for 2 years, although it is accepted into the parish maintenance system.
Okay.
And as of the final inspection, we haven't had any really drainage concerns on this, or issues, should I say issues.
Okay.
And this is the last phase of this subdivision.
Councilman Perilou, you still? Oh,
Yeah, I'm
anyone else have any? Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, I just want to see, quite a few years ago, there were subdivisions popping up all over the place in the parish. It might have been before your time, and maybe not. But the parish council had put a moratorium on subdivisions being built. We got sued and we lost. Once it's approved, final, everybody went through it, it goes. We put a moratorium and we lost. So try it and see what happens.
I'm not understanding, like if the council wouldn't approve it, you're talking about?
We felt at that time there were many subdivisions being built, flooding was a problem, and then we put a moratorium to stop them
I
from.
see. Okay, that was
And
before
we
my
got
time,
sued
yes.
and we lost.
I'm not familiar with that, Mr. Lorraine, yes, because I wasn't, although I've been here 23 years, I haven't, but that was before my time.
Councilman Otan.
Well, kind of like Ms. Pat, I have no clue what the word he's talking about.
Okay,
You didn't even know your name.
all right.
I do want to assure you, though, that possibly, in the past, I do know in the past, drainage was not taken, it was always taken, seriously, but now, it's with, it's really, really studied. They have to provide us drainage analysis, they have to, destinations, so it's really, really looked into by Department of Public Works, and they have to meet, the developers has to meet whatever's required prior to it being approved by the Planning Commission. Yes, sir. And you do receive, on these large subdivisions, the councilman for the district, you do receive a survey plot at the preliminary phase, which is the phase that they come before the Planning Commission once their construction and their engineering has been reviewed by the Department of Public Works. And you get a copy of that survey plot, so you'll know what's going on. If you have any questions, we have all the drainage plans. And, you're welcome to come by anytime. You're welcome.
Anything further? Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 19, ordinance providing for 2018 supplemental appropriation 18-008 within the 2018 operation and maintenance budget to increase the budget for the low-income home energy assistance program, LAHEAP, contract program year 10/1/2017 to 9/30/2019 for the contract awarded to the Lafourche Parish government from the Louisiana Housing Corporation, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transaction action as provided for by Article 6 of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter. Moved by Councilman Jones, second by? Second by Paralew. Any discussion from the public? Any comment from the public? One time, two times, three times. Kelly, did you?
I got it.
Oh,
Yeah.
oh, amendment.
I got an amendment to that, changing the fund from 142 to 144.
And that's throughout the document, Councilman Jones?
Yes, sure is.
Okay, so let's vote on the amendment. On the amendment itself. What's that? All in favor? On the amendment? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Now, does that have to go to? Audience as amended, one time, two times, three times. Any further from the council? All right, the item as amended. Ordinance as amended. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Paralew, motion to close by Paralew, second by Bourgeois. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Closing public hearing at 9-0. Councilman Otan, could you read the ordinances proposed?
Okay, proposed ordinance, item 20, proposed ordinance establishing watch for children and children at play signs to be placed on East 158th Street, Galliano, Louisiana, Ward 10, District 9, Parish of Lafourche, State, Louisiana, providing for replacement of watch for children and children at play signs, sponsored by Councilman Lorraine. Item 21, proposed ordinance establishing a three-way stop at the intersection of East Lakeshore Drive and Lake Verret Drive in Highland Lake Subdivision, Thibodaux, Louisiana, Ward 5, District 3, Parish of Lafourche, State of Louisiana, installing the necessary three-way stop signs and providing penalties for the violations thereof, sponsored by Councilman Grow. Item 22, proposed ordinance providing for a 2018 supplemental appropriation 18-012 within the 2018 operations and maintenance budget to increase the budget for Louisiana Government Assistance Program Grant LGAP 1415-LFR-0001 fiscal year 2014 to 2015 for the grant awarded to Lafourche Parish government from the Office of Community Development, Division of Administration, for the purchase of supplies for the renovations of the main and old agricultural buildings project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said transactions as provided for by Article 6 of Lafourche Parish Home Rule Charter, sponsored by Councilman Grove for the administration, and that's all the proposed ordinances.
I'd like a motion to take a 10-minute break. Moved by Paraloo, second by Melvin. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 10-minute break. $150 for contractor services related to nuisance abatement ordinance number 3895 concerning the demolition of a condemned structure located at 17409 East Main Street, Galliano, Louisiana, 70354, assessment number 0102290400, within Lafourche Parish, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents.
Yeah, Ms. Sposito, I'd like to
Sir.
defer this for another month, because he told me that he got it sold, and the guy that's buying is gonna come with a little excavator, and they're gonna wipe it out probably in one day.
Okay, do you have a
It's in
date?
the lawyer's hand. I'd like to defer it till, and this is it now, May 22nd.
Mr. Lorraine would like to defer to May 22nd. Okay. Okay, so we're going to vote to defer. Mr. Lorraine, did you have something else? You had something else? Okay, vote to defer. All in favor? Hello? Aye. Any opposed? It's deferred until May 22nd, 9-0. Number 24, I have to pull. We're going to start from square one on that one. Number 25, resolution requesting the Lafourche Parish District Attorney to investigate the attached work order for possible wrongdoing by the parish for selling parish property, landscape culverts and bands to a resident, and for the parish hauling dirt for a resident to cover the landscape culverts. You want to defer it to when? Is that May 20? Next meeting? Yeah. What's the? May 8th. Councilman LaFonte's deferring to May 8th. Let's vote on the deferment. All in favor? Hello, all in favor? Any opposed? Nay. Passes 8-1 with Councilman Bourgeois being the nay. Number 26, resolution requesting Louisiana Department of Transportation and Development, LADOTD, to clean the culverts and catch basins on LA1 from West 189th Street to West 190th Street, Ward 10, District 9, Galliano, Louisiana. Moved by Councilman Lorraine, second by Paraloo. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0.
Seven.
Pull?
Yes, it's a dead bill anyway.
Okay. Mr. Lorraine is pulling number 27. Number 28, resolution appointed one member to the Veterans Memorial District of Ward 10 Board. Moved by Councilman LaFont. What's the name of the person?
I'd like to move Mr. Van Kirch West.
Okay, moved by Mr. Van Kurt Schwest, by Councilman LaFont, second by Councilman Lorraine. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 29, resolution appointed one member of the Drainage District Number 1 Board, moved by Councilman LaFont. Do you have a name, Mr. LaFont?
Yeah, I'd like to move with Mr. Thomas Arsenault.
I'll second that.
LaFont nominates Mr. Thomas Arsenault. Councilman Paraloo seconds it. Any discussion? Mr. Lorraine?
Yeah, I just want to personally thank Mr. Albert Guidry for all the years of service that he did. And I think he did a great job. He got a lot of projects done. He was fair, but I think the way the council handled that, I think was very unfair to him. And I personally apologize that they did this, but I just think it was wrong the way it was done. If we'd have done that, if we'd have did that years ago, the newspaper would have never let us loose. I haven't seen anything on it at the newspaper, and that's a crying shame. But the way it was handled was wrong. That's just my opinion.
Mr. LaFont, anything further?
No.
We'll move it to a vote. All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 30, resolution appointing 2 members on the Fire Protection District Number 4 Board, moved by Councilman Melvin. You have the 2 names, Mr. Melvin?
Yes, Bryant LaRose II and Perry Falcon.
Second by Councilman Perilou. Bryant LaRose and Perry Falcon. Perry Falcon. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 31, resolution approving an agreement between Lafourche Parish Government, the State of Louisiana, and the Federal Emergency Management Agency, FEMA, for public assistance, alternative procedures for direct administrative cost, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer an agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Otan, second by Jones. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 32, resolution accepting low quote of Lee Tractor Company in amount of $44,196.03 for the purchase of a new engine and labor costs for Cobelco excavator for the Thibodeau Field Office, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Gross, second by Jones. Any discussion? Councilman Melvin.
Just one quick question. This is being replaced, why? Burn engine, it needed the time to upgrade it, or?
Yes, it needs to be rebuilt, and it would cost more to rebuild it.
Any further discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 33, resolution ratifying the appointment of Mr. Dave DeFelice to represent the Louisiana State University Alumni Association on the Lafourche Parish Civil Service Board, moved by Councilman Perilou, second by Bourgeois. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. 34, resolution in support of a 2018 Bayou Community Foundation grant application titled At Our Fingertips Projects for Resources at the Reverend Lloyd Wallace Community Centers Beyond the Bell Program, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Perilou, second by Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 35, resolution approving amendment number 2 to the agreement with Duplantis Design Group, PC, for the project entitled New Street Light DOTD permit acquisition, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and in any all relevant documents. Moved by Councilman Jones, second by Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. This item I'd like to also, Tyra, to be put on the board. Number 36, resolution approving the parish president's appointment of Lionel J. Lagarde Jr. for the position of finance director for the Lafourche Parish Government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Lorraine, second by.
Can we hold off on this, or we have to vote on this tonight?
Councilman Lorraine?
No, I'm just asking.
If you want to hold off on it for any, so for how long or for what?
I think till Monday.
So you want to call a special meeting on Monday?
Well, I can't call it.
No, but I mean,
If y'all agree to it, I mean, I'm just, you? I want to defer it till Monday, and if you call a special meeting at 5, is that good enough?
So number 36 is deferred until Monday, April 30th. Is that within the time that we're required
6:30?
by?
6:30, you said?
No, at 5.
Oh, okay.
30
At
days.
It's within the 30-day
Yeah,
time
you got
period.
Monday or Tuesday.
Because, are we absolutely sure?
Yep.
So I'll put that in form of a motion that we defer it till Monday at 5 for a special meeting.
Okay, so deferred until
The 30th.
4/30th, 2018 at 5 p.m. Who's going to call it? Jones? Lorraine? Well, will you be around to? Lorraine, I want three of you council members to call it, if you don't mind.
I'll sign it.
You want us to be one? Who said over here? Jones, Lorraine, and and Melvin.
So when we have to sign that? Oh, okay.
If you give her permission to use your stamp.
You'll have to put in writing to me that I can use your stamp.
Okay.
Okay, so deferred.
Who's my third one?
Jones, Lorraine, and Melvin.
I
Let's
just
vote.
want to make one thing clear now, we're gonna have a quorum, huh?
Yeah.
I'm just asking.
Well,
Okay,
I may have a conflict as well. That's why I wanted you all to
okay.
call it.
Mr. Crowe is not going to be here.
And Mr. Grove will not be here.
He has a,
It's possible I can make it, I'm just not sure. Anyone else may have a conflict Monday? Gentlemen, anyone else may have a conflict Monday, because we don't have another day to get this done. This will be it. Okay.
so if he wanted to speak, I don't know if he still does.
Can he speak on it if it's, Mr. Lagarde, did you want to speak, or
You want to wait until.
you want to wait? Okay. All right, so let's vote on the deferment. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 37, resolution approving an amendment to the scope of work for Louisiana Government Assistance Program, LGAP, grant number 1415 LFR 0001, transferring $38,726 from the disposal of debris and waste materials at the field offices in Lockport and Thibodaux project to the renovations of the main and old agricultural government buildings project, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said amendment and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Grow, second by Otan. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Number 38, resolution appointing one member on the Central Lafourche Ambulance Service District Board. Moved by Councilman Melvin. Who do you have?
Jonathan Bridier.
Moved by Mr. Jonathan Bridier, moved by Councilman Melvin, second by Perilou. Any discussion? All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. I gotta be a little louder. Number 40, Tyra, I'd like to be able to put this one on the board.
39.
Oh, wait. 39, sorry. Okay. 39, resolution appointing one member in the Fire District Number 7 Board. Moved by Councilman Melvin. Who do you have?
Ricky Blanchard.
Ricky Blanchard. Moved by Melvin, Ricky Blanchard, second by Mr. Perilou. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Passes 9-0. Now 40. Again, if we could put it on the board, these ones that may be a little controversial, I just think it's easier to put it on the board. I just did that. Okay, resolution approving the parish president's appointment of Rodney Ducey for the position of parish administrator for the Lafourche Parish government, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer any and all relevant documents. Moved by Lorraine, second by? Second by Perilou. Any discussion? Is Mr. Ducey here? Mr. Ducey's not here? Any discussion from the council? Mr. Perilou?
Why isn't he here? I wanted to ask him a couple of questions.
I can't see if your light's on, Mr. Lasang.
I haven't talked to him. I don't know if Mr. Cantrell talked to him.
Mr. Cantrell?
I received a text and said he had a conflict and something happened. He said he couldn't make it tonight, so.
So he just couldn't make it. He's not pulling his application.
No,
He just couldn't
no,
make it, so we
no.
still should vote on it, right?
Right.
Do y'all, no. I mean, someone suggested deferring it till Monday, I guess. Well, let me ask if there's a second on deferring it till Monday. Is there a second? Councilman Grow asked to defer it till Monday. Is there a second? Is there a second? Request to defer fails. All right. Any further discussion? Being none, time to vote. All in favor of appointing him as a yes vote, light him up. Resolution fails 7-2 with Lorraine and Bourgeois.
I got a
being the
question.
2 yes votes.
So since,
Hang on one second, Mr. Lorraine. What's that? Oh, 2 yeas, 7 nays. Sorry, I had that backwards, with Mr. Lorraine and Bourgeois being the yeas. Go ahead, Mr. Lorraine.
so with this failing, that means, correct me if I'm wrong, the
Welcome back,
interim
Tommy Lassang.
administrator gets another 60 days? Well, that's good.
We hope so. All right. Where are we? 41? Welcome back, Mr. Lassang.
Thank y'all. It's not how you get there, just so you get there.
41, resolution approving a cooperative endeavor agreement between Lafourche Parish Government Parish and Lafourche Parish Drainage District, Number 1 District, for reimbursement of the cost of the culverts on Central Lafourche Drive, and authorizing the parish president to sign, execute, and administer said agreement and any and all relevant documents. Moved by Paraloo, second by Lafont. Any discussion? Being none, all in favor? Any opposed? Can we do the vote again? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 8-1 with Mr. Lorraine being the nay. J, Parish President, Department Heads, Directors, or Manager reports, presentation, and/or updates. Anything, Mr. Cantrell or Mr. Lassang?
No, we have none.
Okay. K, questions for the administration. 42, requesting the administration to provide a breakdown by individual departments of how much money the parish president has saved with the reduction of hours imposed on parish employees, moved by Councilman Jones. That's a question from Councilman Jones. Mr. Lassang or Mr.?
We processed one payroll only. The savings for that payroll is approximately $34,000, which would make it $68,000 a month. Well, 34 times 26, a little bit more than that. And it's hard to hit this exactly what is saved with the reduction of hours, because next payroll we have people that come and go, so they're like in executive branch we had one employee y'all familiar with that left. Well, significant savings in that and the health care. But if some people have to work, and I don't think we'll have much, but to cover that position, we're not going to fill it. So one person leaves. If 3 people got to work up to 40 hours, we paying for 15 hours and saving 40. Same thing. We had the same thing in permits. We had a important person left there, went to Terrebonne Parish for a much higher salary, and Mr. Bro asked if the 2 people remaining could cover it up. I said, well, they're going to have to, and then Tony's going to have to work extra. So if they work each, another 5 or so hours a week, we're going to save 40. So it's hard to say exactly what is the reduction from the 35 to 40. 35 to 40 number that I'm giving you is
But that's not, did some employees get bumped back up to 40?
there.
Or did it
the
cut
ones,
35 all the way across the board other than?
everybody was cut 35 across the board.
And-
Some, if the supervisor allows them, in those 2 instances that I just said, in permits, a plan reviewer left. Well, we have to have somebody review the plans, and he does the inspection too. Well, the 2 people in that department, they're going to be authorized to work up to 40 hours if Tony approves it, and it's straight time. It's not, they don't get the benefits, they don't get the 457 match, but, I mean, the job has to be done. There's permits.
Is that the only 2?
It's
You're aware of?
in administration, when the paralegal left, there's 3 people that are taking the whole responsibility for that job too. So if we pay 15 hours and we save in 40.
The Public Works Department seems to have the most work. Is anyone in Public Works moved up to 40? I mean, like that is the bulk of parish work, so everyone in
Nobody's left,
Public-
but I was talking to somebody today. I said, if one of the, I gave an instance of a barn. I said, if somebody left, they could all be bumped up to 40.
I guess.
In a
the only-
small barn, I mean, where they got 5 or 6 people. In Choctaw, for instance, and Bayou Blue doesn't have that many either.
Councilman Jones?
Okay, I'd like to put this back on the agenda for May 22nd meeting, but I'd like to have a written report. Should have enough time to have everything in by then to see just what we're saving.
Well, that is what we're saving.
Put it in writing.
Putting another one. So, Ms. Carleen, can you add that to the next agenda? All right. 43, requesting the administration to provide the amount of money the parish has saved since the monthly increase in insurance premiums placed upon parish employees. Was asked by Councilman Jones. Mr. Lasang or
It's,
Mr. Jimmy?
that savings was, almost exactly 40,000. The number is $40,050 actually. So it's 480,000, about $500,000 a year. $40,000 a month. That doesn't mean the parish employees are paying that much more. That's how much less we're paying. Some of them, in fact, I know a lot of people that who took the spouses off when the spousal payments went up. So it's hard to tell what is placed on the parish employees.
Mr. Jones?
There's also, I like that one on May 22nd, I like that in a written report, spreadsheet.
Well, we can't get what the individual employees pay. You can't have that.
I didn't ask you for what the employees pay. Show me the difference in what you're saving.
252,340 minus
Put it in
212,
writing, not by your mouth.
Okay.
Okay, the only thing I would ask is, I would like to know which employees get moved back up to 40 hours, maybe for next meeting, because I had so many calls from people feeling like it wasn't fair that some were left at
Nobody
35.
was moved to 40. They were allowed to work up to 40 if the supervisor approved it, if the need was there in 2 departments where people resigned.
I understand, but I guess from the employee standpoint, I was told maybe some favorites got moved to 40, so whether it's true or not, if we could just, every meeting, maybe know which employees,
Put positions, titles.
yeah, just moved up to 40, just so,
I'll
we
put
can-
it with that with an explanation, yeah.
Okay. Any other questions for the administration? I did have a couple. Mr. O'Tana, can you take over the meeting? Mr. Lasang, last meeting I asked you about library funds transfer and flood insurance. I did send you an email asking this to be ready for this tonight. Did you all?
Yep, the
Look into
library
that.
buildings are parish buildings, so the parish is going to determine which ones have the flood insurance.
So the parish determined that, can you give us a list of which libraries do not have flood insurance?
I can get that.
Can you send that to me?
Yes, sure.
Okay, I think, all right, and what about the funds transferred?
They're checking on that. Carol was out of town today. I got a spreadsheet with what was done, and he talked a little, I think he talked with Sherry today, their finance director, and I'm gonna get that straight for the next meeting, exactly
Okay.
what it is.
Well, if you get it before, can you send it to me
Oh,
before?
yeah, I'll have it before,
All right.
yeah.
Terrio boat launch, anything on the permit?
I have no information
No
on that.
idea.
I mean,
And we're waiting on
I'm
it.
sure I would have heard if they had got some progress. I'm sure it's just sitting there.
Okay, Mr. O'Tan, that's all I have. Councilman Paraloo.
Yes, for the administration, when can we expect to be able to go to the early voting site in Central Lafourche?
The next election, we knew we weren't gonna, well, we were pretty sure we wasn't gonna make this one with the Secretary of State. They have to come check the site. The lines run. The computers, they didn't want to buy the computers because it had been for one election, I believe. They changed the computers, right, Mr. Boudreaux? So the next election, I think, is supposed to be operational.
Okay, because last I heard from Mr. Boudreaux, he was having trouble getting the funds that the council approved for that site released by the administration. I just want to make sure that he has what he needs in his toolbox to get that site opened.
When he tells us what.
Mr. Boudreaux?
Would you want to come up here and address this for a second, just to make sure that everyone is understanding what's necessary here?
Please state your name and address for the record, please.
Michael Boudreaux, 307 West 4th Street, Thibodeau. We have everything. We're waiting on the Secretary of State to check the lines, to run tests. AT&T Field, they put in all the equipment and they ran the lines into the back chamber room here, and we're just waiting for the Secretary of State to run their tests. All the equipment is in Baton Rouge. So for the fall election, we will have the elections here.
What about the 13K you said you were still waiting on?
Well, there was a little mix-up with the writing of it, and I think Mr. Cantrell, the administration, would just have to write a certain little amendment supplemental.
So you don't have it yet?
No, sir. No, sir.
That's my question. I mean, has the funds been released and now all of a sudden, no, the answer's no again?
We can't.
Still saying?
We can't because the amendment was written incorrectly. He's gonna have to do a supplemental.
Chairman.
The $27,000 for that early voting site,
No, you talking about.
did you receive that?
Yes, 25. It was 25 something.
Now, is the 13K a showstopper or?
We doing what we have to do, and I got a payment plan from the Secretary of State, which is not heard of, and we could pay it out in 6 months if we had to.
All right, I just want to make sure we're all on the same page, that he's getting what he needs to make sure those doors are open for the next early cycle. Because we always get, oh, wait, next time. Just make sure, what else do you need to open that site?
I don't think at this time, I'm trying to do the best I can, Corey, and.
I'm not trying to put you on the spot, I'm just saying, what do you need from us, from the administration, from the government?
It's not him or us. It's neither one.
No, it's a supplemental, right, Ms. Colleen?
Is your mic on?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay.
It would be a supplemental from the administration.
For the council to vote on to approve the,
Well, it would be a supplemental from Mr. Jim.
So, Mr. Lasang or Mr. Cantrell, are you all going to?
But that's not related to the voting site.
You need the money.
That's not for the voting site. The 25 or 27 was for the voting site. The 13 was for training, I believe.
Training for the
Yes,
staff.
you're asking two different things here.
But we still don't have it.
It's
Mr.
training
Jones?
for the site.
Yeah, for this site here.
Yeah.
We got to train for early voting.
So it is for,
It's part of, yes, ma'am.
it's part of the
Yes,
new
ma'am.
site? I'm not sure what's the disconnect with you and the administration.
it all ties together, basically, Tommy. I mean, the money that he's waiting on has to go towards that early voting site.
I don't believe the 13,000 has to go to the early voting site, does it, Mike? That's
they-
continuous training. It doesn't cost $13,000 to train somebody to come to an election. I've been doing this for, I don't know, 10 years or something. You train
Michael,
them in
where'd you get
2
that
days.
number from? Where did that number come from
I
then?
thought that was continuing education.
Continuing education and for training of the personnel that's gonna have to be working this site.
You have a breakdown of continuing ed? or-
No, ma'am.
It's all tied together,
It's
that's
all
my
in.
point.
It's all
Okay.
in.
Mr. Jones?
Yeah, the amendment was wrote the way they had it in the budget book. And it was 50% on the budget summary for grant writer. And we broke that down in different parts. And the balance was 13,000 for continuing education and training for the early voting site here in Matthews.
Because this is some old equipment that the state is getting ready to repurchase some new equipment, and we're not being charged for this old equipment, okay? But when we get the new equipment in, we will be charged, the whole state, all the registrars, as far as the equipment, machines, laptop, computer systems, will be charged.
So what's the next election cycle? What date?
November and December of this year.
So we're going to have an early voting site. We can comfortably state to the public right now that the next election cycle, they will be able to early vote at Central Lafourche in this very building.
If we don't, I'm gonna come in with my hair done just like yours.
That's not good enough, Tommy.
It's going to be done. No, we haven't held up anything. Nothing's been held up. When the paper called me, I said, nothing's held up. It takes, the Secretary of State moves slowly. Nobody's holding up anything. Mr. Cantrell's not barking at anything. We're going to do the supplemental.
Mr. Jones?
When will the supplemental be there? I mean, the 13,000, if the state is holding up, 13,000 could be in place and he can do whatever he got to do for the registered voter. What is the problem with the supplemental being in place?
Probably you wrote the amendment wrong.
The problem is because you did the budget and that's the way you put it in the budget book.
No, y'all wrote the amendments. We didn't do nothing with the amendments.
I got it straight out the budget book. And if you got your budget book, I can show you right now.
Well, you're gonna get a supplemental.
Okay.
So we can expect that here within the next couple of meetings to pass that through?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you.
Anything else? Thank you, Michael.
Thank y'all.
L, council reports, presentations, updates, and/or questions. I think we did a lot of questions. Mr. Bagalaw's report is not going to happen today. M, discussion. Any discussion? Councilman LaFont?
Yeah, this is not council business, but Central Lafourche and South Lafourche both won their district playoff games. Somebody just sent me a message. So congratulations to Central Lafourche and South Lafourche on winning their first round of the baseball playoff games.
Nice. Anyone else?
If you want to know the scores, Central was 12-4 and South Lafourche was 10-0. They 10-run ruled them.
Yes.
Nice. Mr. Jones?
Thibodeau Farmers Fair next weekend. Third,
Oh,
fourth,
that's
fifth,
true.
and sixth.
4th, 5th, and 6th. That's always a good time. Anyone else? Mr. LaFont?
I know.
Can I get a motion to adjourn? Moved by Councilman Otan, second by? Second by Bourgeois. Any discussion? All in favor? Any opposed? Passes 9-0. At 8:07, well, 8:03 PM. No, it's my computer that's wrong.